And we are back, day 2 for the Summoners War European League 2025. And this time around, no Sam, but we have someone very special here on the channel and in the casting desk as well. So, which side are you sitting on me? This side, yes. Okay. Sean V, how are you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good, man. It is so great to be here because I was watching this thing last week, and this time I am here next to Sage Shizzle to help Sam out to cast a couple of weeks, and we're gonna have a lot of fun in between. And I can't wait to see the next batch of unique players that we're going to see this week because the player who played last week, I think, is going to take the break this week, and they'll come back next week, right, Say?
Yeah, correct. So we're going to have 6 different players than we had last week. And that also combines in total all of the 12 players that we have in this Summoners War European League. So all of the players that you saw last week aren't going to be here. But we have a very nice batch of players today. Bunch of familiar faces, but also a bunch of non-familiar faces, I would say. So once again, let's go over the format. We have the Summoners War European League and we're back in 2025. We're going to be playing for 7 weeks, and during each of those 7 weeks, we're going to be here at Wednesday, 8 p.m. European time on this channel or any of the other channels that you're watching at this moment. All of these matches will be a best of 2. So that can mean that you can win one, you can lose one, you end up with a draw, a double victory for 2 points, or a double lose for 0 points. All of these points will be combined together towards the ranking that we will see in just a second. That is the ranking over there. In here, you want to be played as the top 8 of the league, because then you will make it to the playoffs, which are on the April 12th and 13th. And the playoffs are all the way best of 7. So last time around, we had best of 7 only in the finals. This time we have best of 7 all the way. That is going to be on April 12th and 13th. However, that's going to be on a Saturday and a Sunday, and that's going to be at 2 p.m. So with that all, we're going to be crowning the European champion of the Summoners War European League with a prize pool of 10,000 euros. Here, once again, a quick overview of all of the dates. If you haven't written it down yet in your calendar or you haven't mentioned it anywhere yet, this is where you can find us, when you can find us, and it's running from February all the way to April. So, Sean B, talk to me. Are you liking this format? What do you think about it?
I think we have a very different format compared to SWC. So everyone's playing for points pretty much before the playoff. So if you lose today, it doesn't really mean that you're out, right? You have more chance to win in the next day and the next day and the next day. So today might be a learning experience for some player, or today might be the day where they gain the point lead. Because I think last week I saw someone who lost 2-0 to somebody else and then instantly win 2-0 immediately against somebody else. And at the end, they didn't really place very low, even though they could have lost 2-0 against somebody else. So that is very, very cool. And it's going to keep every player on their toes every single week to make sure that they're always on top of the game, keeping up with the meta and checking out all the other opponents to see how strong they are throughout the league.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also different than SWC. In SWC, you mostly prepare against your first, maybe your second opponent. But here, you always have to play at least 3 opponents every time that you have to play. So there's a lot of preparation on that. Plus, it's best of 2. You can have 2 very different drafts. Whereas if you have a best of 3, you can have a repeat draft later on saying simple as like, okay, we do a repeat match of a match 1. But in this case, that's impossible. So let me introduce you to the players that we have here today. We have Crispy Bacon, Malignant, Joselinho, I think that's how you pronounce it in Spanish, so I'm just going to go for that. Merle, TeqTeq, and Charge. Definitely a few familiar names over there. Sean B, which one does stand out for you?
I think everyone here is very strong, and especially I fought Crispy Bacon a couple times on the ladder, and every time he absolutely destroyed me, not surprised because he is an incredible player, and there are many other new faces in the league as well, especially in the competitive Summoners War scene. So I can't wait to see what they bring to the table, because for Summoners War, there are faces that we see every single competition that, hey, sometimes new blood is very much welcome, and what they bring to the table can be very surprising.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, once again, same as the last day that we had with a few players that were not being in G3, this time around, we also have that. We have a few people being G2 and actually making it through the qualifiers. So that might be just by pre-ban being slightly different, having a slightly more favorable idea of just how to work the meta that way. And that might be very interesting to see. And actually, last week, we also had the G2 player actually ranking pretty well and getting a bunch of wins in. So very curious to see how this time around those do it. But then again, we also have a few powerhouses in there, always ranking super high in G3 in there. And I'm very curious to see what they will bring as well, because in the end, this is also different for them. It doesn't mean that if you're on ladder, very good, because you can play maybe your 5 comp that's very well rounded with a bunch of LDs in there. But in here, that one key unit is taken away from you every single time. So that might make the dynamic of your team very different and might have you make complete switches.
I see. Also, with pre-ban and people knowing your team, it can be very different from playing on the ladder where you're fighting a stranger every single time and they don't really know exactly what you bring to the table. But in here, a G2 can study the G3 unit and see, okay, he's fast here, he's wheeled up here, and he tend to pick this thing last, and I can prepare for that. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the G2 player can also defeat and become a very, very worthy opponent for the G3 player in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can't wait to get started with this. And I think the first matchup is just about to be on the screen. I'm definitely very excited once again, and I hope y'all very excited as well. If you're here in the chat, let me know who you're rooting for today. But this is going to be the first matchup of today. We got Crispy Bacon against Malignant, and I think this is going to be right away really a powerhouse of kind of match, because both players mostly rank very high in the G3. So we will see a little bit more about them in just a second. But what can you tell about their playstyle, Shombi?
I think it's going to be a lot of LDs, and that is not a bad thing. That is actually a very fun thing. So for the first player, we have Crispy Bacon, and he has a Ragdoll. I think that's what we can tell from what he say to answer the question. And Ragdoll changed playstyle the most, which means he could be a very strong bruiser player, because that is what we know Ragdoll for, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Besides the Ragdoll, he also does have a Zeratul and a Gianna that he definitely likes to play. I can also see that he likes to play units that are slightly less common as LDs, such as Lydia, and also a Uldong, which are units that normally aren't sealing too much of like the daylight in RTA, but it will be very interesting to see those as well. On the other side, we have Malignant, and we see like, okay, which units do you like enjoy playing the most? We got a Gianna, a Han, a Yeonhong, a Silver, and a Laura. It's like, yeah, those are very good right there. So that's definitely where you can get very far with. Plus, he likes to be having an adaptive playstyle based on his LD. So he locks in the first few LDs, and then he has a lot of adaptive LDs after that as well. That's definitely a nice way to play this game. I can assure you that much.
I think he's probably going to be focused on going first with Laura and Silver, controlling the enemy pretty much immediately. And also when you have LDs, you have the option to maybe snipe a unit very quickly, or circling around them with slow debuff from Silver and just a lot of increased cooltime so that they will never actually do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're going into the match pretty soon. So really looking forward to what these players have in mind. And are we going to see same as last week, where we have a lot of LDs being played in their own playstyle? Or do we still go back to, we have actually been talking about this earlier, Jongnam, Sekhmet, Oliver. Those units are very oppressive and very stack, or very strong, especially the Jongnam right now. Jongnam feels very strong and was also very good for the last week that we saw. So first time around, we have the Laura pre-ban and we have the Zeratul being pre-banned.
All right, so no more Zeratul for Crispy Bacon. You mentioned a unit being one of his main unit, but he locked in a Gianna early, and over there, Malignant goes straight for the Speedy and the Yeonhong to try to secure the turn one, and we can also see that the Ragdoll come out immediately when people trying to take turn one.
Yeah, absolutely. Ragdoll's almost always good when the enemy goes for turn one. But then again, there's a Yeonhong on the opposite side. Yeonhong can also bring in some kind of fast, or you can make a slow unit become very fast. You could think of like a Federica to snipe something out. You could think about maybe a Kiara in there. But actually goes for the bruiser route as well. Jongnam and a Zinezek. And Zinezek is arguably one of the hardest counters into Gianna at the moment.
Oh my, we have a... Dude, we might as well go with 5 LDs 5 for one match. I think it's going to be fun. So we have the Jongnam and the anti-Jongnam in one draft, but that's not Kovaci. Zeddy said also counter Gianna really, really well. So Crispy Bacon not giving up turn one just yet.
Yeah, it's definitely...
I think, because he has that strip attack bar defense break right there.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting to see the Dark Megami, but also the Lydia. The Lydia is mostly one of those units. We have seen it on other people's stream where it just doesn't do enough. Protection against it, of course, the Light Unicorn being very strong. Who do you have for bans? While the ban's locked in very fast. It's actually scared of that Lydia right there.
I think I've underestimated a Lydia too many times when I play this game, especially one from Crispy Bacon, because I'll be absolutely destroyed by that thing if I just have one resistance to lock in on that thing. It's very, very scary.
So let's see what we have. We have the Yeonhong going first. Can you land the bomb? Can you land the stun? Does actually manage to land both of them. This skill 2 probably goes on that Gianna, and everything is very nicely locked out so far. So all eyes, ooh, did actually resist over there, but has a second chance to go for it.
Oh, we have a strip defense break coming out, but who's gonna really use his defense break? Can Ragdoll actually snipe a unit with a skill 2? Almost snipe on the Yeonhong though, but not good enough, so the heal's back.
That is a super high damage Ragdoll right there. Wow, that's also how I like Ragdoll in most cases. A lot of the Ragdolls nowadays, or actually back in the days where Ragdoll was more like a reflect kind of style, a lot of people are like, not too much damage on the Ragdoll, but this 23k, if he managed to take it out, it would have been a very good beneficial spot right there. But now it's a bit difficult being locked down, losing a unit right there. Can provide some stuns, but is that going to be enough?
And here we see the Oliver keeping pretty much Gianna out of the fight, and Gianna's about to go there as well with the help of the Zenisa. Even if Gianna managed to take a turn, I think she's not going to be very, very impactful. And everything on Malignant team is just so good at keeping control on the enemy team. So as you can see, even with Ragdoll, not much that Chris can do in that match.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the thing is, Ragdoll in general is good against AoE crits. And in this case, the Ragdoll was that early that there were no AoE crits on the field yet. A Jungnam, mostly not a critting unit. So for that reason, the Ragdoll cannot pick up that much attack bar. And then it's just waiting for your units to get out of the control that the enemy is providing. And in this case, did I manage to? We actually see a Lydia pre-ban. I think that Malignant is just simply saying, like, I have no clue what it's going to do, but I don't want to face it.
I think it's the kind of unit that will be underestimated. Nobody's going to touch it, and it's going to sit there and wait for the moment that you let your guard down, and she just wiped the entire team. It's kind of crazy. Oh my god, more turn 1 control from Malignant, but this time Chris is not giving up turn 1, say.
Yeah, we're definitely both sides still hard contesting that turn 1. Zeratul is available for Crispy Bacon right now, but he has to be careful with dealing with that Gianna. You have to still deal with that Gianna while there's a Yeonhong next to it, and that is such a strong combination, because Gianna by itself, you need to have like a Heigang against it or something like that. He does have the Zeratul already for enough damage, but he has to be careful to lock in enough damage, because otherwise it's all support team. Let's see what Malignant goes for slot 4 and slot 5.
And in all that LD5, the pre-ban landed on Jongnam, by the way. He was like an underrated unit before SWC last year, and now he is the pre-ban unit. Pretty much Cigar tier at this moment.
Ooh, and we have a Laura plus a Sierra removing it, going for the Chandra, a little bit more of control over there. Well, not necessarily control, but a little bit more Bruiser style. Crispy Bacon is only looking at one Swift unit right now. Well, no, wait, he has 2 Swift units, because the Twin Age, most cases, are Swift, but he has 1 Speed Lead. So if he locks in another Speed Lead, he has a chance to take first turn if he were to ban that Yeonhong, but actually goes for more Bruiser units. Do you think that's the right take?
I'm not sure about picking Cigar, knowing you're probably going to go turn 2, leaving yourself a bit open, but I think it's going to be an Oliver ban, and hoping for the Cigar to weather the storm and maybe control the enemy team while providing some defense back for the Zeratul.
Well, that's definitely Oliver ban and a Zeratul ban, so the damage on the side of Crispy Bacon is not going to be that high, but we have a match 1, set 2 between Malignant and Crispy Bacon. Let's see, first turn, once again, of course, to that very speedy Yeonhong.
All right, Yeonhong going in, boosting the Chandra to give the attack bar to the entire team. But this Gianna will have to deal with a Heigang and potentially buff coming out from the Water Twin Angel. Let's see how Malignant will use Gianna against Heigang. Ooh, that's a beautiful Despair stun.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful Despair stun, but also by the boost up from both sides and taking an additional turn over there. Didn't even need it, but the Heigang suddenly like is like, oh, I'm controlling the Gianna by the Heigang. It's fine. It's like, oh wait, it's still manipulated enough attack bars, boosted up enough attack bars. So my Cigar, which was supposed to move, didn't even move in the end.
So Gianna's not doing the classic Gianna skill 3. She's just here for a bit of damage and a bit of bomb. So she's like a Ciara without a skill 3, which is not a bad idea, because Laura on her own is like an entire team anyway, and she can provide all the control that Malignant need. And even though Chris went in with a pretty solid team, it couldn't really do much against the Laura and the Gianna.
Yeah, absolutely. Just shows how insanely strong the Laura is. But also the Laura, if you pair it with the right units, the Jian Hong for the right boost, the Chandra for the right boost, also providing that stun on the segment early. It just, everything just worked out. But also the draft, once again, was super solid. And it's definitely one of those drafts you have to do a lot of homework, a lot of testing. But then again, where can you really test it? Who has all of these LDs to test against? That is going to be a difficult thing as well. So it's definitely a hard one to prepare against. But yeah, let's see what the other players will do against that. But first, we have some other players coming up as well. So I think we're going to see those in just a second. So, Shambi, what would you say would be the playstyle that you would adapt against if you know your enemy has a Yeonhong, a Gianna, a Zinazek, the Laura, the list goes on and on. What would you play against that?
I think right there, the cigar, when you question whether the cigar was good, I think the cigar was definitely not a good idea because he wouldn't have any way to shake him out of stun or slow. But I think in the draft where I think he was locking in the Oliver ban, he could have drafted maybe a strong water bruiser like a Chow. I know you hate Chow, but I think Chow in that position where enemy doesn't have attack power reduction and relying on 1 or 2 debuff would be a much better pick, I would say.
I think in this case, I would almost agree on the Chow. Almost. It's very close. It's for me very hard to convince the Chow there. But in this
he's
case,
like on paper, ooh, very good. But then when he actually go into the match, oh, he's kind of bad.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's like, oh, he's just fighting a bunch of fire units, and then you see the fire units crit twice. And it's like, where's my Chow? What is he supposed to do? But then again, we got Joselinho and Merle going in for the next match. We actually have a Spanish player once again, and that's been quite a while. The last one was, I think, Serpolita, and then we're looking back at 2021, the last time that he played in qualifier. So that's definitely been a while. So it's good to see some Spanish representatives once again.
Oh, we have, I think, one of the first female player that I haven't seen in a long time in the summoners or competitive scene. I think the last time we had a female player was in the APAC qualifier, but she didn't really make it far as well. And that was many years ago. So I'm excited to see what she's going to bring to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, we got Joselinho. He likes to play passives. Like if we're reading those units, Panessa, passive, Capso, passive, Sot, passive. Eleanor has a skill 4, but technically a passive. Juno, passive. So he definitely does like them passive units right there. So it's definitely going to be more of a bruiser style. And it's very curious to see like what kind of bruiser style you can adapt right now. Because a lot of the units that are very common right now is that Sekhmet, is that Oliver, is that Jongnam. Or maybe he's going to adapt to those as well. Merle on the other side, we're liking some passive units as well. We got the Fengyang, we got the Juno, but then we also got the powerhouse of the unit that we just saw in the previous match, Laura, paired with a Vivagel, Shizuka. That sounds like some very strong units right there as well.
I think you mentioned earlier before we cast the tournament is that Laura is still one of the strongest, or if not the strongest LD in terms of win rate and pick rate in RTA in general. After I think she got 2 nerf as of now already. Yep. 2 nerf and she is still one of the strong, just like Oliver, right? Like they just bring the unit up so high that now bringing them down is just a very tough thing to do without absolutely destroying them, like how they did with Gurkha, where Gurkha is like god tier and then like, what is that?
Gone tier. Yeah, it goes from god tier to gone tier. But that's an interesting thing, yeah, because Oliver, I think, went through like 4 or 5 nerfs already. He's still the most pick rate unit at the moment. But that is more because he pairs so well with all of the other units as well. So once again, here we have a player that made it to G2, making it into the Summoners War European League. And I'm very curious to see what kind of bruiser style between the 2 players are we going to see. Is it going to be very contested on? Both of the players really like the Juno, but I think both the players are also probably Capso players, because what is good with bruisering? Capso. What is good against bruisering? Also Capso. So that's definitely one of those units that I expect to be contested between the 2 players. But let's see what they're doing for their pre-bans. Definitely taking the time. We got, of course, a Laura pre-ban. We're respecting that unit. The win rate speaks for itself. But on the other side, we have a Sahat pre-ban.
Dude, I love that guy. He is so much fun to play with, especially when he pop off just a little bit with the procs, because the damage he can do, the dots, the attack bar that he gains all the time is wild for this guy. And we have a Juno being heavily contested between these 2 players, and over there she's staying true to the answer she gave in the interview, locking in the Shizuka and the Fangyan early on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that Juno is also I wouldn't really say that the Shizuka is good into a Juno in most cases, because Juno really likes all of the buffs that Shizuka provides, but also really likes all of the debuffs that Shizuka provides. So that's definitely keeping true to what is common for you, what you like to use. And that is sometimes also a good strategy, because if you're very familiar with how your Shizuka works, how your Feng Yang works, if things just work for you, why switch things up? Because there is a counter on the enemy side. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does work, but let's see what she has in later drafts that could actually work. We also have the Vanessa and the Smicer. Merle being looking at that Viva Chell right there.
I think that is the answer to the Juno that you were asking for, because the easiest way to deal with Juno is to just snipe her immediately. And Viva Chell could potentially do that, especially when Merle is going turn 2, letting the Juno go first and then do the swap thing and then snipe the Juno pretty much immediately. And the Praha is there probably to do a lot of damage on the Juno as well. But there's no real great answer to the Smicer just yet. Do you think she's going to lock in the Veramos last pick here?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see, because from this draft, me as a turn one kind of mind, I would go in for Robos or any kind of pushback units, even a Chungpong if you can find it in your draft. These units of pushbacking and AoE stripping from a wind unit towards just water, a dark, and a wind unit would be very impactful, but Joselinho definitely still likes to go for his passive units. He's actually drafting 5 passives on the left side right away in that draft. Let's see what Merle likes to bring into all of those passes. You could be as like, okay, Oblivion is the answer, but we actually have notes, especially if you have cleanses on the field, such as that Angela. Oblivion isn't always the right answer.
And here's the one-shot unit, another one-shot, and that one can also be constantly revived for Shizuka as well. So that's going to be a very, very strong last pick that could be an insta-ban. But you know what I want to see? I want to see the Fire Assassin being the last pick right there with all the healing.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting unit as well. I've seen it a little bit on ladder. I've seen people try with it, but it has less protection than, for example, the Federica. The Federica still has that kind of second life or first death prevention kind of style, and that just makes it very strong. I'm actually surprised that the Vanessa made it into the battlefield, because most of the time, if you're fighting a Federica or you're leaving it in, you want to take that unit out. We're looking at a match 2, set 1 between Joselinho and Merle. Chambi, take it away.
All right, here we go. Vanessa going first with a strip defense pick. Juno is on Will. Oh my, that is a rare case, but I gotta say, I have seen that more than once in my life, because you don't want to get Oblivion, lose your attack power turn 1. So if you have a strong will set that you don't use on anybody, Juno can take that will set. And a beautiful strip from the Smicer on the Praha, but can she land the bomb?
We have that bomb as well, so we're denying all of the turns. However, there's still one unit that you cannot really deny the turn of, and that's going to be, well, first that Feng Yang, but afterwards that Fire Cassandra, the Federica. Can she actually take out the unit? We have this additional turn of the Pra, doing good additional damage there as well. Seemingly to be on crit rate, good 37k, taking out the first life of that Vanessa.
We haven't seen any Nemesis from the Federica just yet, and we assume that she's always a Nemesis, but that could be on Vio build to get the cooldown back quickly. But oh my god, I think the Spice is the one getting all the Vio here, and Shizuka might be going down faster than we expect, and without Shizuka, I don't think Federica is going to be all that strong.
Good, Smice is actually doing a lot of work. Smice is also one of the units that slightly lost. Oh, this additional turn, is that enough damage? That's not enough damage. Very tanky Smice over there. But Smice is one of those units, a lot of people I've noticed have kind of been de-runing it because it doesn't heal as much anymore on the skill 1. But still, that silence, if it lands those strips, it's pretty much has been silencing and denying the turns that are or could potentially be good from either the Shizuka or the Praha. These 2 units have pretty much not participated in this battle yet.
I've been trying to rune up a Spicer for myself as well, but then if you play him right, he just get banned all the time, which is kind of sad, because you kind of have to invest a pretty solid set on that thing. If not, it's gonna get sniped, or it does pretty much nothing the entire game. But very, very strong unit if you can afford the rune set to put on it. A very good bio. Oh, but the Praha clutch proc is gonna keep the Shizuka alive, and that is bad news for the Vanessa.
That is absolutely very bad news, because there's an armor break on that Vanessa as well. The Federica is moving with the speed buff. Also, this Praha does like some of those additional turns. We saw them first on the Smicer, but we also definitely do see them on the Praha, and it's very impactful right there. That armor break still sticking on that unit. We have a little bit of pushback coming through, a little bit more silence, but this Vanessa is probably going to leave the battlefield very soon.
I think there was a little bit of a misplay here with the targeting, because Murray targeted the Spicer first, and then still go back to the Vanessa anyway, when you usually either go for Vanessa first or just ignore the revive. I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna try and kill it back to back to back. So right now Merle can't really finish off any target, and the Smicer is never dying at this point and doing a lot of work.
Yeah, it's definitely the Smicer being very annoying, and I definitely do agree with you as well. Like, the moment you start switching targets, it doesn't really help you in any way. Either full commit for killing that Vanessa, or full commit for killing that Smicer twice. One of the two options is probably the best way. But in this case, simply nothing is dying. Angela is doing a very good job at keeping everything alive. Even the Praha additional turns, trying to chip everything down. With Federica getting some turns in, it just doesn't do enough. The Angela is healing too much, the Smicer is healing too much, and this Vanessa's just staying alive.
Yeah, nothing is dying while Murray team is just slowing dying one after another. Does it matter how strong you rune, how much damage you can do if you're spreading your damage? Oh, that revenge from the Panda.
Revenge
Probably won't really switch the battle though, because I think Spicer from this point on will just absolutely destroy the enemy team.
Yeah, definitely has a good chance to. But it's definitely also interesting to see where a revenge on a Feng Yang. Normally you do see a Feng Yang more of like a Nemesis kind of style, what could still be revenge, but it's also interesting to see a Feng Yang as that much of an early pick, so that's definitely why you invest a lot of good runes to it. However, this first win goes to Joselinho, which is definitely very well played by him, and in general, just a Vanessa that's super tanky. It's always like hard to see on a Vanessa, like it's going to be high on damage, is it going to be super tanky, and then what should you focus first? So that's definitely throwing Merle off in this first round and gave Joselinho the win.
All right, going into round two, which means this time Merle might get the Laura, and I want to see the Fangyin doing some massive damage, say, because I'm excited for that unit, because you don't see Fangyin in any core team whatsoever if you fight in high rank, because everyone's so meta focused, and Fangyin is definitely not a meta unit for RTA.
Absolutely, and also instantly the respect ban on that Smice is like, okay, I lost against this unit last round, I don't want to face it again. And no matter what, I was being annoyed by the unit, let me take it off the battlefield, and that's why we love the pre-ban. So this time around, is it going to be a first pick on that Juno? Yes, exactly, locking in that Juno. It's like, I like the unit, I know you like the unit, we just contested, first picking it right away.
I think it also gonna block the potential Shahat coming out from Joselinho as well, but we are still seeing the Vanessa first pick right here, and to completely lock into the Bruiser playstyle. We got some heavy Bruiser action from both sides of the table over here. Say,
absolutely. Like it's interesting to see that we're straight going in for like Angela bruisers, because I would say Angela is a good healer, a good bruiser, but locking in that early, it's mostly a unit that fits in like a slot 5, a slot 4. But Joselinho he did mention he likes his passive. Once again, we're looking at 4 passives on the field. This man does not like to press the 3rd skill right here.
Wait, so do you think Tessarian is a very good answer here? Because that is one thing that people instantly think of when they go for anti-passive. But I don't think Tessarian is that good of an answer nowadays anymore. Why do you think so?
Well, the reason why it's difficult is because you first have to land the Oblivion on the Angela, and then you can start landing Oblivion on other units. So it's just very hard to work with Oblivion, and none of the Oblivion units are that good unless you go for the LD Oblivion units that can do it AoE. But we also have, once again, a Laura, plus another defense scaler as in that Abelio. So definitely a hard defense scaling team on the right side. On the left side, it is interesting to see, because what if you ban out that Sahat? Is the Fire Monkey going to do enough damage against those water units and a Feng Yang?
I'm not too sure, but I know one thing for sure, that this G3 player just value Rakuni more than the Light Horse, so we can both agree that Light Horse require buff right now, right?
I think there's a lot of people that would disagree, but she has that innate passive where it's 15% chance to glance, 15% chance to miss crit. And if you're playing against it, that 15% on both sides feels like 100% all the time. But in this case, we have a match 2, set 2 between Joselinho and Merle. Jumpy, take it away. Let's see what we have going on.
It's gonna be a long one, boys, and we're gonna start off with the defense buff. But usually in another game, in another world, you'll be seeing Jongnam Oliver smashing down their skill 3. But here we're gonna start seeing they exchange the skill 1 instead.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see a Laura just being there for the buffs, not being there for the strip, not being there for the setup. No. We're just having Laura for the buffs. But we have a defense buff, and that's the interesting about defense buff that people sometimes forget. Defense buff is 70%. So you're boosting a lot of damage on this Feng Yang. If we can get an armor break, this skill too might do a lot of damage right away. Can we instantly kill that? 23k, that is a very tanky Vanessa as well, but that's still very good damage.
Yeah, I think if any one of them got a proc, that Vanessa is probably going to go down. But hey, look at that. Light Horse would never heal Vanessa back to almost full, right? Say, so Rakuni is a pretty solid choice over there.
Rakuni definitely does do his job, and Angela next is like Vanessa's pretty much just sitting there. Oh, you did damage? I didn't feel that. Feng Yang going for the additional turn, doing good damage, but Rakuni is like, nah, that was not good damage. We work on that. We'll keep it cool. There's no issues over here.
Damage? What damage? And both sides provide a lot of healing for the team, and Vanessa is still under a lot of pressure for the enemy team here, and potentially if the Feng Yang get another good turn like what happened just now, it could potentially just bring down the Vanessa on his own.
Yeah, definitely. You could, like, the Feng Yang is actually doing way more damage than the Abellio, which is the right element instead of the Feng Yang being the wrong element. But Feng Yang is also, it was always known as the unfair bear. It just kills things it was not supposed to be killing. So all eyes are on that Feng Yang dealing enough damage right there.
And Feng Yang with the accuracy change in the balance patch, giving it so much an easier time, defense breaking any target in this game right now, and that is a very fast, fat, and high damage Feng Yang. And this, it's just a race, right? Whoever take down the focus target, and one being Vanessa, one being Laura, and I hope Merle this time doesn't suddenly change target and like, you know what? I don't want to hit the Vanessa anymore. I hope that she will focus down this Vanessa and do that soon.
But the big issue is that Vanessa's back to full HP again. Plus, you have the Reflect passive. Like, she's already switching targets. Like, that Reflect is actually starting to do a decent amount of damage. Every time that Ansha places a shield, you hit the unit with the shield. There's just going to be a bit of chip damage. And it's actually a Despair, very tanky Vanessa. Interesting build right there. I like it.
Once again, Vanessa barely touching the death door, and Rakuni is here to save the day once again. And the first one to lose the unit is going to be Merle. Laura going down, which means no more defense buff, no more slow debuff. So this Feng Yang is not going to get all the benefit that he's been getting for the entire match, and now getting focused by the Fire Monkey.
Yep, plus we have the stuns going into that Feng Yang. The Feng Yang is definitely the crucial one on the side of Merle that has to be taking the turns to take someone out. And I definitely do think that a Feng Yang can take out a Fire Monkey in a 1v1 if it so goes right, especially the way that Merle has ruined it. But there's still a lot of other units to go through first. And where there's a lot of cleanse on the side of Joselinho, there's pretty much no cleanse on the side of Merle, except for the Feng Yang cleansing itself.
Pretty much, and the defense break is being handled by this monkey Vanessa every other turn, allowing these two units to do a lot of damage. And as times go by, the monkey just keep getting stronger and stronger, and it is unstoppable.
Can you take it out? Oh, that is
easily
so
done,
much
bro.
Damage. That is so much damage. Very well played by that Rakuni, seeing the opening in there. There was that armor break, there was the skill to being available. And once again, a little bit of Angela turns, a little bit of, like, all of the units on the side of Joselino pretty much felt like they were never touched. Like, everything is back to full HP. There's the starting point again.
It's crazy. Like, this team is being hard carried by pretty much two healers and a Fire Monkey going absolutely insane. But it also showed that, hey, you don't have to always play the meta control style. And because we are witnessing two bruiser player, they play this every day in, day out, and they are still ranking really high in the arena. It just requires, as you can see, a lot of patience when you play like this, right? Say, because you have to target the thing right, you have to endure the procs from the enemy right, or else you're just gonna go mad very easily when you play like this.
Absolutely, but I also do think, like, actually the switch of Merle in this case did make sense. Maybe it's a little bit too late, or it's definitely a little bit too late, because there's only one unit on the field. The switch to that Rakuni, the Rakuni is a net 3 unit. The base stats on that are really bad. It's a lot easier to kill because there's almost no HP, no defense on it compared to that Vanessa. But if you find that part out really late in the fight, then yeah, you finally take out a unit, but you can't do more than just one unit. And we have, therefore, the victory going to Joselino. Very well played with all of those passives, which is definitely different to see than what we normally see.
Yeah, it's just really hard to control whatever team he was running. I think we're gonna be seeing Joselinho fighting other control meta abusing player, and we can see how they handle him, because hey, if he's G3 with that, he must be doing something right. And if you can't go super control playstyle, you want to play with healers, you can follow his footstep and see what he draft, how he counterpick. It's definitely gonna be interesting to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely would say the upcoming of the pure vanilla cookies, also about the Lucia and the Angela, those are just so good as turn 2, because the Lucia, the fire pure vanilla cookie, is simply, oh, there's a lot of AoEs, we don't push back that much. Angela, oh, there's an armor break, we remove that. There's an Oblivion, we remove that. But also, if you were to bring in the Oblivion in there, and there's the Raccoon and the Angela, you Oblivion the Raccoon, Angela cleanses that. You Oblivion the Angela, the Raccoon cleanses that. Oblivion single target is simply not going to work. And where we started off last time around with all 1-1s in the first few rounds, we actually have all 2-0s starting off just now. But we have another banger coming up, and that is TeqTeq against Charge.
Can't wait to see. I think I see Charge a lot on the ladder. I'm not sure about TeqTeq though. I never seen that. Maybe my rank is just never high enough to see TeqTeq in RTA. But I wonder what it's gonna bring to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. Does have a few LDs and a very few unique LDs that he likes to bring as well. He does have that Neftis, he does have a Lima, and he does have a Secret. And the Secret, also known as the Dark Ivor, is a unit that he actually likes to pair on a violent set rather than a swift set. A lot of people use it for swift set, boosting it up, kind of cleaving with it. But his Secret is actually a violent one, and it moves after his units to lower the cooldowns on these units. So let's say you have a Atna moving in front or a Sonya moving in front, you lower that cooldown, and therefore you can use that skills where you don't really have too many dead skills at that skill 1 going in there. So let's see how that works out for him. I'm definitely curious to see, because those are definitely some LDs. Sure, the Neftis we do see a fair amount, but Lima and Secret we don't see all too much.
Yeah, Secret is definitely going to be one of the most interesting unit to see, because she fall into the attack buff, attack bar category, which a lot of people would think, oh, I'm going to cleave, I'm going to snipe. But a lot of people in high rank use this unit with a lot of bruiser unit to give attack bar and also team up like Cigar, Chandra, that can provide very strong utility with a skill 1, and also team up reduce cooldown. So it's always interesting to see how they use these units outside of what they are usually known for and incorporate them into whatever draft they're doing to make it very, very interesting to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can also tell, I used to be a guildie of Charge. I've been in guild with him for a very long time, and I can tell you this man has insane rune quality. He also did mention one of his key things that he likes to do in this game is chasing that perfect rune, and he has a lot of those. So it's definitely one of those players that certain units really need really good runes to shine, and he has a few of those. For example, Necroma. And let's see if he can make that all the way. Also, highest finish, rank 13. That's a really insane finish right there.
All right, let's take a look. What is going to be the pre-ban? It is going to be Volantis and Lima. I would say these two are the more underused and off-meta LD5 at this moment, but they are getting pre-ban. I wonder why.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's in this case studying the opponent, just seeing what they normally play a lot and just instantly banning that, because maybe that is prohibiting their normal playstyle. Also, a Heigang first pick is something that I personally don't like that much, because a Heigang first pick, it's very open to simply say like, okay, then I'm not gonna play AoE CC, I'll play something else like single target damage with a Miles with a Acroma.
So very hard to control them, especially when Charge can pair them with strong healers like the Raccoon or Wind Pudding Vanilla Cookie thingy. That is very, very strong. But Charge is charging ahead with a Speedly and Ethna. It seems like he wants to snipe very quickly, ignoring the power of Heigang. But TeqTeq is going into something that you can't crit, that can both counter a Chroma and Ethna. Very solid pick here, utilizing the Kinky passive against Charge.
Yeah, definitely an interesting pick. Also, a unit you haven't seen too much. Actually, last week we saw a very good Kinky as well. And once again, where we had a lot of sustain units in the previous match, currently none of the 9 units that we see here on the field have any form of healing. So definitely a very different base than we had in the last match. Last pick could be something more bruiserish, or at this point, do you actually want to add in a little bit of sustain to out-sustain your enemy? That's where you have the little bit of sustain.
And very, very good one at that because there's no immunity on the side of TeqTeq. And both team can kind of have passive to give them a bit of survivability, but it's not healing, right? Kinky can heal a little bit with skill 1, but then they nerf the passive. So it's just gonna be all in damage to see who's gonna die first, and I'm very, very excited to see what's gonna happen here. I think it's gonna be the healer ban and the AoE stun guy, but then Kinky might be the hero of the day.
Yeah, let's see. We have a match 3 Jumpy. Let me hear it. Take it away.
All right, guys. First turn belongs to the Ethna as predicted because she's one of the best Swift unit in the game, but then she is a bit hard countered by the Gang for the strip stun, but she can still go for the AoE damage. That didn't really do much on the enemy team, but now we see the follow-up damage on the side of Charge. But what can he actually do? Can he actually bring down anyone at all? Because he's about to suffer some slow debuff coming out from the Chandra.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting by that Gang. Normally, a Gang wouldn't have that much value if you really draft. Like, if it's a first pick, you can draft out your whole draft around it. But in this case, the Akroma's just too slow. Otherwise, the Akroma might have taken out that secret right away. But now we're going to see a flip of the turns. We had almost all of the units. Ooh, the anti... You didn't take a crit, and because you didn't take a crit, Akroma with the recent buff does take a little bit of attack bar, and that little bit of attack bar was just enough to take out that secret right there.
Wow, I did not expect the secret to fall in the first turn, but she did. That attack bar from the balance patch really gave Akroma that extra boost to kill off the enemy target, and now Kinky has to save the day. Even though TeqTeq lost the secret, it's not over yet because Charge has no healing, and when you have no healing, dealing with a Kinky might be a problem. But if he can somehow keep the mouse alive, maybe he can use that to bring out the Kinky, but that's not looking good for the mouse right now with the Chandra moving so often.
Yeah, definitely a Chandra can take rid of the Miles. Plus, Chandra's one of the hardest counters into a Miles because of that slow. That slow just makes a lot of damage reduction. Too bad that Kinky did just slightly a little bit too little damage, because now we're gonna get an extra turn of this Ethna, and this Ethna can hit very hard.
And Ethna's gonna go down, trying to put on the defense break onto the Chandra. Onto the Kinky, but could not get it done. So now Kinky will have to bring this one home for TeqTeq. He can do it though, potentially, but only if this Kinky doesn't get defense broken and stunned by these 2 units on the enemy field.
Ooh, this S2 armor break. This is the high hitting skill. Can he take it out? Does not take it out by the sliver of health. That Miles is super tanky, and those are these insane runes that I was talking about. Charge has this super tanky Miles. Otherwise, it would have been lost in that battlefield. And Miles does actually not activate the pass of the Kinky on his regular hits.
Not looking good. Here comes the Kinky moment that we've been waiting for. Oh my god, that damage is crazy. But then he could take out his mouse back to back if he get the crucial prop.
Yeah, it's definitely the question. Do you take it out? He does take it out. Gets a little bit of healing in, but it's not too much. But that's a 12k. Look at the HP bar. That is 12k. Can you imagine how much HP is on that unit right there? If that is 12k HP?
Man, and unfortunately, Kinky is not gonna solo. It's not gonna save the day. It was something that could have been done maybe 3 years ago, but definitely not in the current landscape of RTA.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things, Kinky in the end, it is nerfed. It used to be really good. Now it's a little bit less good. In the right draft, it is still very strong, but in this case, it was just slightly short by the insane rune quality that Charge could provide in that match.
All right, we're going to the second round here. Very interesting match that we saw. A lot of damage, a lot of aggressiveness. Are we going back to some sort of control playstyle, or are we seeing another form of whatever we saw just now?
Well, definitely some of the passive units being removed over there. Akroma, we don't like to see it. That was the unit in the end that did take out that secret. But was it in the end that Akroma, or did the Miles most do of that work? On the other side, you like to pick Gang first time around. I don't like to see it this time around. And we're going Jongnam first.
Oh, which means he's about to go for some control team here. Probably going to be following up with some Segment Oliver to control the enemy with the the new Holy Trinity, one might say. But is he gonna do that though? Or is he gonna whip out some crazy LD combination?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see where the Holy Trinity used to be the Chandra Valajul Cigar. Since Cigar slightly fell off, the new Holy Trinity might actually be Oliver, Jungnam, and Sekhmet. So definitely an option that Charge could go for right here, but he rather goes for that Vanessa. And let's see, Fire Monkey pairing it off, a very good unit against the Defna.
But very interesting. He's locking in 2 fire unit very early on into a Chandra that is going to allow TeqTeq to maybe bring in another water unit that can counter whatever Charge is doing. So maybe the Fire Monkey was a little bit of a rush in the mid pick, say.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. Also, once again, going back for that secret, last time around, couldn't really do anything in the battlefield before she was taken out. But also, Ragdoll is just an insane strong unit against Athena. Normally, where Athena likes to go for a cycle on that skill too, it's already difficult because of all of the fire units on the field. But with the Ragdoll, it makes it impossible, pairing that up also with a Viva Chill.
Oh, that's going to be the unit that's going to snipe the enemy unit here with the Ragdoll. So it's going to be very scary when they're trying to hit Charge team. We have a Lima getting picked up here for some crazy protection that get insta-banned by the enemy. All right, so it's going to be looking very fun for both sides. We have a bit of meta unit, but I don't really see how this is going to play out. It's going to be very surprising for the both player.
Definitely, but it's also interesting to see. I think that Athena is probably on Violent, so where you think like, oh, my Viva Gel is gonna move after the Athena and it's gonna have so much value. No, the Athena is actually slower than you, so the Viva Gel doesn't have that much value at all. And it could actually not do anything there. Maybe you could have opted to go for some healing just to get immunity in, because now you're very open to the enemy for just anything at the moment. We have a skill 2 coming in, and oh, that suddenly went very fast, but we didn't get any damage for any stuns from that unit. AoE slows rocking in, and then we have that secret moving with a lot of damage potential for that Masha.
That's the first time in my life I see an Ethna being outsped by Vanessa, but hey, it's working out just fine. And look at all that setup for the Marshal to start eating. And the first one's going to be the Monkey. And there might be another one going down. Monkey's about to go down again. And Ethna with attack buff going in with another round skill 2 that can potentially take down the Monkey. Oh no, gonna secure the kill first. That is a G3 play right there. Not greedy, but go for the kill.
Well, I'm not sure about that, because I think I would have more go for the kill on the Monkey, because the Monkey, the moment it starts broken, we all know what Monkey business does. And sure, you need a lot of Monkey business to come back from this point, especially since you have to push back and the dots on this unit as well. But it's still always very dangerous. The moment it provides the stuns, the moment it provides the healing. Sure, the Fire Monkey kind of fell off because a few other units, mainly the Jungnam, is that strong at the moment. But this Marsha is just doing a lot of work and taking out most of the units, with TeqTeq taking that second set, being back at a 1-1.
Man, such an aggressive team. The attack buff giving the Ethna and the Marsha so much more damage output compared to usual, especially when they build on Violent as well. So they get to do so much damage. They bring a lot of defense back. They bring in the slow debuff. And especially when TeqTeq went in with a slower team. I'm pretty sure his slower team is probably faster than like 90% of people out there. But he was slower. And that gave him such a huge edge against the enemy, because there was nothing that the enemy could do to do with that slow team, because he went with the Vanessa, which could not provide any CC. Instead, he could have went with something that had attack by pushback, AoE push, wind robo, whatever. But then he went with a more bruiser, but then he happened to outspeed and then he get absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, that's also where you see Jungnam really likes to be paired with an Oliver rather than a Vanessa, because Jungnam skill 2 and Vanessa skill 2 are kind of on the same level. Strip and apply something, but mainly that strip is really nice to set up for an Oliver. If he was able to have an Oliver go skill 3 on either the Chandra or the Secret, you at least deny a bunch of the turns. Sure, that Marsha would have been very good into an Oliver, but you would have had a little bit more back and forth. Also, most people do not really expect an Athena to be either Violent or Despair or anything what it was. It was not Swift for sure. That's a thing that we know for sure. But let's look at the bracket that we have thus far. So we have played all of the matches in the first quarter, well, first third, let's call it that way. And we did see all of our players. So now the players are going to be mixed up and playing against a other player in the next few rounds. So what are some of the matches or some of the plays that stood out most for you so far?
I think that the full Vile team from TeqTeq was definitely very, very interesting to see. But what is coming up next going to be Merle against Crispy Bacon. So we have now something very, very different from these two players, because we're not going to see maybe Bruiser fighting Bruiser anymore, because Crispy Bacon can go for a full LD cleave. And I'm very interested to see how Merle is going to deal with that, because it seems like it's going to be a pure turn two no speedy kind of draft, which is very vulnerable to like a double swift stripper into AoE pushback into AoE defense break, which we saw from Crispy Bacon with the Dark Megumi, which is almost perfect for any form LD cleave that he planned to do.
Absolutely. And we're going to see just all about that. How is Merle going to handle with all of those units after? And we are back for the Summoners War European League Day 2. Here with Shelby once again. How are you enjoying this so far, man? I know it's very late for you, right?
Let's not mention that, okay? I'm trying my best, okay? I'm trying my best. It's been very fun. I'm glad all the matches have been pretty exciting, so that we can watch and enjoy ourselves. Because I think it's great when people trying to win, but it's also great when people trying to win in a very cool way, like how he did with the secret on a violent build right there. Because we all expect certain things to be built in a certain way, and then it doesn't happen that way, and it's very exciting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely some exciting matches. We do have a lot more exciting matches to go because in the end, we did see Malignant just pretty much steamrolling his few matches. Like those went so fast that we didn't even talk about it that much. It's just like the LDs, it worked, everything connected, and then it was over. But let's see if the other two players that he has to face maybe have like a better idea of maybe bruising that out or just destroying the comp altogether. But first, we're going to be looking at that match of Crispy Bacon against Merle. So that's going to be the heavy turn 2 style, whereas Crispy Bacon was trying to lock in at Lydia that didn't actually make it through. But then again, Lydia is very good against speed comp, so I don't think that is going to be something that Merle really has to face up against because she's not that much of a speed comp player.
But when you're not speed calm, you get speed cleave, which is also a very, very real problem that Merle has to handle. So maybe she might have to rely on the Hey Gang potentially to not get absolutely stripped defense break by the Dark Megumi, because that is one of the best strip setup for cleave that Crispy Bacon now have together with Gianna. So I think we might be seeing a Hey Gang pre-ban instead of a Laura pre-ban.
Yeah, definitely could be an option because also this Laura, where the Laura of Malignant, for example, had a lot of follow-up. This Laura is there, as we mentioned it, it's for the defense buff. We want to stack out that Feng Yang to do as much damage as possible. But this Laura is not really about the follow-up. It's just about that damage for the Feng Yang. But can you even get to the point where Feng Yang can get a proper turn? Or is someone going to be to the points like, oh, you really like the Feng Yang? I'll just take that one out in the pre-ban. Why not?
All right, here's the pre-ban between Crispy Bacon and Merle. So is it going to be a classic Laura pre-ban? It's going to be a Gianna and a Juno pre-ban. Very interesting. But hey, for a Bruiser player, Juno is probably going to be the best build unit for Merle. So that is a solid pre-ban right there.
Yeah, definitely two very good and understandable pre-bans. Normally you would see like, why would you pre-ban this? Gianna, of course, makes sense. Very strong unit. But the Juno is so much of a core comp unit for Merle that it's definitely something that's useful to take out. Those are very much units that you would like to reset. The FIFA Shell, the Shizuka, most of the time I would like to see a segment into that, Oliver's into that, maybe even still Cigar into that, because the moment that these units take the turn on an additional turn, match might be instantly flipped.
So I think Crispy Bacon is still leaving his option open. He can either go single target snipe, he can go AoE with the 0-2 and the strip being available now in the field, but it's gonna be a mix between control and damage for Crispy Bacon. And here's the wind robot that can be extremely effective against Merle team without a Juno, without any real fire threat. I think that's gonna be a very solid last pick for Crispy Bacon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did mention it before, the Wind Robo is looking very strong into all of the units of Merle. Plus that Cigar, there's just so much stuff going on the team of Crispy Bacon, and Merle can just pretty much just sit there and wait until she gets a turn, because the only passive unit she has on the field is that Feng Yang, but it's not too much passives that can get you an insta turn against that. And the bans came in super quick because Crispy Bacon saw the draft. He's like, I'm not gonna play that. On the other side, Cigar is that core unit that Shizuka cannot proc out against, or at least not as good. We have a match 4, set 1. Zombie, take it away.
Oh, it's going to look really bad for Merle here because we have a lot of strip defense break together with a beautiful strip stun from the Robo. So the only thing that can happen here that's bad for Crispy Bacon is he missed the Robo strip and stun. He going in straight for the kill onto the Shizuka. Could not get a snipe, but Robo here is here to finish the job.
It's a lot of damage coming in. Plus we have an insta rotation on that skill 3. Can we get the AoE stuns? Nope, we're stopping at 2. But we still have some pushbacks working from this Malignant.
Megumi with a pushback and the violent problem. Megumi can also stun with a skill too. Take away the attack power of the Laura, so the chain is not stopping just yet, because 0-2 is well known for going absolutely again and again on the enemy, taking them down with that huge damage. And Robo has the cooldown reduction from the Twin Angel to provide another round of AoE pushback. It's just so much damage here, say.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage.
Look at
The
that.
first hit is connecting for 12.6, followed up by double sixes as well. It's maybe on a little bit less of a defense unit, but wow, that's a lot of damage. But on the other side, that Feng Yang was also hitting above 5k per hit on an armor broken target. So definitely a unit that is very scary, can do a lot of damage as well. But the issue is, I don't see it 1v1ing against the Zeratul.
Pretty much, and Crispy Bacon is not leaving any option for Merle. He's going in with both AoE control and amazing single target snipe damage, and there's nothing that this Panda can do. It's just gonna die slowly to the damage of Zeratul, being one of the strongest bruiser unit right now. I think Zeratul for a long time has been a very underused LD5, but now he is just insane, right, Say?
Yeah, absolutely. He just needed that slight tweak, but I think even before that tweak, he would have still been good. But the slight tweak that he got, every turn he has, he takes a little bit of healing. And that extra sustain on top of the immunity, on top of the attack buff that he gives, makes it very hard to kill. Plus, he has a lot of damage from those dots and additional damage artifacts. So you don't have to go full damage on this unit. Just a crit rate on the 4, most of the time an HP on the 6, and you're already good to go for a very heavy bruiser Zeratul right there. And it just works out so well for these players.
I still can't believe that Zeratul used to awaken into resistance. And here's the pre-ban for Zeratul and the Laura pre-ban as well. Merle has the Juno first pick, but is Juno going to be enough against LD5 Cleave?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be the question. Like, is the Juno enough? I definitely do expect to see a Juno locked in right away. But if you go back to that Shizuka, if you go back to that Viva Shell, Crispy Bacon, as long as he connects his skills from, for example, a Gianna, it's going to be very hard to deal with that. So I think, Merle, if you're playing turn 2, you have to be looking more into passive units, as that Joselinho did so well in the previous round.
But what kind of passive can save you from getting stripped defense break into some massive damage from Crispy Bacon? Because I don't think she's locking in the Hey Gang at the moment.
Yeah, I definitely would say, like, Hey Gang, if you're fighting snipes, Nana is an option. There's definitely the Rakuni, the Angela. Those are definitely options out there. If there's too many debuffs, currently there's only a bomb, maybe an armor break. A Veramus could do very well. But Crispy Bacon is actually saying, like, no, I'm having the pace of this fight. I'm locking in a Vert. And this is definitely where people might say it's like triple revenge Vert here. I am very sure that this might either be a Swift or a Violent Vert.
Honestly, man, I have no idea what Crispy Bacon's doing. Like, he's testing the water. He's like trying teams because he definitely doesn't need to do that. But he's doing it anyways, locking in the Vert and the Fire Monkey King. Vert is definitely going to be great against the Viva because Viva relies on you having low attack bar after you take a turn. But with Vert in the field, it's very unpredictable what kind of attack bar situation is going to be on the enemy unit. So Viva might not be as effective as Cigar getting locked in for the last 2 pick over there, being Shizuka and the Abelio get insta-ban.
Yeah, the bans definitely make a lot of sense over here. Shizuka and the resetter of the Shizuka, both of those are not going to get any play over here. In match 4, set 2 of Crispy Bacon against Merle. We have the Gianna coming in with a bomb, and can she go for the AoE stun? Ooh, does not connect the AoE stun on the Abelio.
But I don't think that's really matter because he's probably going to focus on the Viva quickly. And that's going to trigger the Abelio healing anyway, even if you manage to stun it. The real question is he going to finish off the enemy target quickly enough?
Yeah, it's also going to be the big question. The Abelio skill 3, how many provokes are you going to get? And especially on a unit like a Vert, can you get the provoke on a Vert? Because that is a very crucial one, where the attack bar gain gets lowered by a lot.
All right, here comes the heal. It's going to pop the heal, giving the attack bar and the provoke. It's going to land on 3 targets, say. So that was very, very clutch coming out from the Abelio, trying to keep the Viva alive. And it is going to stay alive, and it's going to manage to do a bit of healing here to save the Panda from the bomb damage as well. So pretty much turn 1 from Crispy Bacon turned into nothing.
Absolutely, but also that could have been played slightly different. You could have went for a Abelio skill 1 on that Vert, potentially stun it, because any hit that came after on that Viva Shell would have been picked up by the Abelio passive regardless. So it is definitely a way to play it safe, but he could have also played, or Merle could have also played it slightly differently because, well, in the end, it is working out. We do have that armor break sitting on that Gianna right now, and Gianna has to start cycling turns again to get that bomb back up.
And I don't think Gianna's gonna. Oh, Gianna's gonna get a cooldown decrease from the Twin Angel to get the bomb and the stun once again. But this time, miss on the Viva, a very crucial miss right there because we all know that the Abelio is probably gonna get the cleanse and the turn anyway. So he's now moving on to the Panda. Can he take out the Panda? He could not take out the Panda, even with the bomb damage.
Yeah, the bomb damage doing a decent amount, but Gianna most of the time these days are built on a lot of HP, so it's not really going to work too much. Switch Destiny is actually going to be sending into that Monkey. The Monkey does still have skill 2, so a little bit HP is still given back, and that might be enough HP where the rotation actually gets a setup for the Monkey plus the Vert moving next. So I'm not sure if that Switch Destiny was placed at the right moment over there.
I think it is very hard with a Werner field for the Viva to find an opportunity to use it in like the perfect way. So I think she saw the window, she went for it. Was it really worth it? Probably not, looking like how the Monkey is still going to be alive. But I think that was a trade for the Gianna as well. And 1-for-1, can we see this Monkey carry the game and with the Water to an Angel, or will Merle actually win the Bruiser battle from here on?
Big question is also, is that Abelio under passive range? Because it's very common for the Abelio to use the skill 2 to get just over the passive range, which happened in this case. And that's also the exact sweet spot of Abelio where you like to be it in. Just under the passive, and then use the S2 just over the passive. And that's exactly what happened right there. And that might actually give like a victory over there, but still have to play out against that Monkey. Can we get stuns? We do not connect stuns, but we have shields. Not enough damage on the Fire Monkey.
Dude, the provoke from this Abelio has been absolutely on point to keep the enemy damage away from the auto unit. And because Crispy Bacon locked in 2 fire unit, this Abelio is doing a very good job tanking the damage. But right now the damage is back onto the Viva because the Verd can keep cycling turn despite the provoke, and the Monkey is doing a very good job.
Can the Monkey take it out on the skill 2? It's max stack 21k taking out. But also I was looking at that Vert damage. Vert was hitting about like 5k on armor break. That's a lot of damage over there. But this Fire Monkey is eating a lot of damage right now. One more hit from the Juno is absolutely going to take it out. But Fire Monkey has one more hit to say something about it. If you can land the focus shot right now, get the armor break that this Twin Angel has been doing so consistently. No, oh, it did get it. Does it get crits? Does not get crits. Can this Fire Monkey take it out? 16k takes it out, takes the additional turn, takes a little bit more healing. Abelio against the world.
I think this might be it for Abelio. Abelio is a very strong unit, can potentially solo you, but it usually happened on arena defense back in the day. But right now, against Water Twin Angel, gonna be very tough. Even with the heal, Water Twin Angel can now use this window to stun and defense break the Abelio, leaving it no way to defend itself against the damage, even from a Vert, who at this point can do some pretty solid damage, even with 1 crit from the both hit.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's once again where you want to find the perfect window. And in this case, the skill 2 was not on cooldown, so couldn't use the skill 2, had to go for the healing on the skill 3. And then you can get in this awkward situation where Vert is just simply doing too much damage. Plus, Abelio is defense scaling. So if you get a defense break, you're not going to do as much damage on your skill 2.
And that did not do a lot of damage on the Vert. The Vert is still looking rather healthy, and the Water to the Angel can bring back the Vert with a bit of healing as well. So not looking good for Merle here, and I think this is gonna finish up the match. Very, very good effort from the Abelio trying to keep the team alive, but not good enough.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those units, like, sure, it's trying to get those passives in at the right moment. We did see it once, where you can heal up with the S2, but then again, the damage was also not enough. Like, sure, it's a defense scaling unit, it can do a lot of damage, but you also still have to build it on enough HP, enough speed, you have to get the cycling in, it has to do a lot of things. And yeah, with an armor break setup, can do a decent amount of damage, but in the end, the Fire Monkey was stronger. However, the draft on Crispy Bacon's side was pretty interesting because he kind of went to the waters which Merle likes to swim in as well, Bruiser side. Whereas I would say that Crispy Bacon would have probably just went for like some kind of cleave style. You do know your enemy is a lot slower, doesn't bring as many passive units in if you just reset the Shizuka or just simply ban it out or bring in that Cigar or do a combination of those things. I don't think you have to be really in the waters where you bring in like a Vert, a Fire Monkey that much.
Yeah, that was very weird. I feel like he was kind of just like testing to see. I had an idea, maybe it's gonna work, because he definitely didn't need to do that, and it kind of dragged the fight out a little bit too long, and it was very risky for Crispy Bacon, but he got the win anyway, because I think Vert was great, Fire Monkey was a little bit sus. because I think he was looking for like a single target damage unit, and Zero Two was banned, so it's kind of he just went with whatever he felt at the moment, and the Fire Monkey was the unit that he felt at the moment, and also Fire Monkey is pretty much very good against the Juno and the Fangin, so I think that was his reasoning to go with the Fire Monkey, but still I think he had like better option in the box.
Yep, absolutely. But going on to the next match, we got the Joselinho against Charge. So Charge showcased a bunch of variety of between bruisers, high damage units, very high HP units on that Miles. And then on the other side, we had Joselinho with passives. That's just one way to describe his whole draft. Passive, passive, and more passives. Not gonna press that third skill, and we're gonna slowly take the enemy out by a lot of healing, by a lot of sustaining, by a Fire Monkey in this case last time around. But there's also other good passive units right now with the recent collab. We got the Wind Zenitsu, very strong passive unit as well, can deal a lot of damage in a good bruiser team.
I wonder if Charge has any of the AoE Oblivion unit, or just gonna go straight with damage, because that is one way to deal with the passive team, is that you just go in with ignore defense with very heavy damage, and you take them out quickly so you don't have to deal with the passive.
Absolutely true. Also, you could have seen from the previous match, if you focus heavily into that Vanessa, it's very hard to deal with. It's super tanky. So if you take your homework from previous matches, you do know it's like, okay, maybe I'll just ignore it and I kill the Rakuni twice, or kill the Smicer twice, or any other unit, you kill that twice rather than having to focus that Vanessa. Or maybe just ban it out altogether.
It's funny how we have so many anti-revive in the game, but none of them are actually very RTA relevant, right? For the revive Vanessa.
Yeah, I would say so as well. Like, there's a lot of resets. I think resets are more the value towards like revives of a Vanessa. But the big issue that Vanessa has, that revive is on a 1-turn cooldown if it hasn't been used yet. So even if you reset it, 1 turn from that Vanessa, and the segment skill 3 pretty much didn't do anything. But for the bans over here, we got a silver ban and we got Sahat being banned out.
All right, stealing the Vanessa immediately away from Joselinho, and the silver being pre-banned. I think that's gonna be that's pretty much like your top file set getting pre-banned as well. So I wonder, without Vanessa, how's he gonna keep his team alive?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be the question. Does he like to go for more passive units in the sense of Nana? Once again, locking in 2 heavy supports. However, Kovaci is more of an offensive support than a defensive support, but Angela is definitely that defense support right there. Charge, do you like to go for some kind of snipe comps against this? Irene is definitely a unit that has been picked up a lot on the leaderboards as of recently. And it's one of those units, it's like a Dumon, but different in the sense where you completely take that unit out for a portion of the fight, which is definitely an interesting unit right there. Plus, heavy damage on that Masha.
It is also low-key like an Oblivion unit, because when you take it out or take it in your suitcase, it will take away the passive that can affect the battlefield as well. So less damage for a more of a control on the enemy unit, which is very interesting, because you mentioned Dooman. She can also counter Dooman in a way, because when you lock in Dooman, take away the curse. Kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely. She has some very interesting interactions as well. Also, you can just straight do it through the Heigangs. She doesn't really care about the Heigang passive. So definitely has a few very interesting interactions over there. On the other side, we go back to, well, passive units. A Fire Monkey. And then the Chandra does have a 3rd skill, but definitely still on the heavy bruiser side. And that's also where Charge does see there is not that much strip on the side of Joselinho. So if you can fight 2 units right now that can utilize that not being stripped, in this case he finds the Federica and the Vivachel, and then he can work his way around there, bruisering it down while not having to get too much strips. But also I would say a unit like a Valajul does seem very strong in this draft.
But I think he's more about that snipe, pretty much. So as I mentioned, that is definitely going to be one of the better ways to deal with the passive, is that you snipe them out of the field immediately, and everyone on his team is all about that. And oh my god, that is so beautiful, because one of the ways to deal with snipe is to have revive, and who's the better unit than this guy, who's going to counter all the water unit and has a self revive and a AoE control.
And it is
such
banned
an
out.
amazing last pick. Yeah, pretty much. When it's too perfect, it has to be banned out.
Yeah, absolutely. Being banned out makes a lot of sense. Also, when there's not too much immunity on your enemy side, locking in something like that is always a very good 5th pick. So very good find by Joselinho over there. We have a match 5, set 1. Shambi, take it away.
All right, guys, let's see who's gonna get sniped first, because Kovaci with Fire Monkey can also do very, very good damage. But here we go with Irene going first. She can be the best unit in the game, or she can miss and make Charge cry. Let's see if she land her thingy.
She does go for the Chandra, does not fully connect, so therefore doesn't do too much. Also an interesting choice to go for the Chandra over there, because now all of the turns belong to the side of Joselinho, and that can do a lot of damage on your Marsha right there.
I think he probably just hated the AoE slow that will be coming out from the Chandra. And I think that's the problem with unit like Irene or Sekhmet, is that they can be quite disappointing at a certain point of the game, and that will really leave a bad mark on the user memory. But oh my god, that snipe is coming in, and there's no way to protect this monkey beside himself trying to proc and get some heal in.
Well, there's actually a lot of protection for this monkey. We have a Chandra skill 2 coming in. We have a skill 1 potential coming in over here. You could even boost up the monkey skill 2 to get another round of your S2 on the monkey. So definitely a lot of options right there. So if Charge was able to take out that monkey, it would have been a very nice setup for him over there. But since that was not possible, I think he's kind of on the back foot at the moment.
You're right. He just needed a little bit more damage. But hey, if you are Joselinho, you know that you're going to get sniped. Maybe the monkey's going to have some heavy reduction from fire, because that Marsha combined with the Federica could not burst it down. So he was well prepared for this exact situation, because when you play a certain comp too many times on the ladder, you know exactly what counter is going to be used against you, and you can prepare your artifact in a certain way to make sure that you don't die to the snipes.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's very well played. But also, Monkey in general, you do want to have that anti-fire, because what is the greatest counter into the Monkey is mostly that Federica. We just see it on the field, and if the Federica cannot take any kill, it is also very easy to take out the Federica. Most of the time with the Federica and other sort of snipe units, you see that also with Sonias, it is very often a trade 1-for-1. But if it is a 1-0 trade not in your favor, you do lose a unit, and it's not going to be very beneficial for you. And Joselinho is definitely sitting in the drive seat because of that right now.
Pretty much. I think Charge went in with the snipe, the Irene, but everything that he trying to do kind of failed in the first turn. And that is one thing for the snipe team, is that when you fail to achieve your snipe, you get very exposed, because all these units don't have any way to really defend themselves against the heavy damage. And there's really no way to strip the shield and the heal and all these amazing protection from the Chandra and the what's this thing name again? The yellow healer.
Yeah, the yellow healer is called an Angela. That is the pure vanilla cookie wind.
Ah, yes,
Angela.
the Angela.
Yep, exactly.
It's just so hard, right? And it's just,
yeah,
like you don't know what to do after that. You fail your snipe, you fail everything.
Absolutely, and Angela is also one of those units. It's just, it keeps being there. Also, if you don't have any healing on your side, anytime you hit the shield, it's that little bit of chip damage of reflex that is at some point adding up to a lot of damage and just simply not working out. Where Irene looks really nice into Bruiser comps, the moment that she doesn't work, it is really one of those units like, yeah, I could have drafted anything in there and it would have worked better. But in a completely different world, let's say the Chandra was taken out by that bag, I think it's still that the Kovaci and the Angela would have had potential to heal up that monkey by a decent amount.
Pretty much. And when you put something in the bag, it's not gonna it's gonna be gone forever, right? So Chandra's gonna be back soon, and still, because he failed to snipe the monkey, that was pretty much the key to his loss right there. So going to the second round, maybe Charge gonna go in with a different strategy. Maybe he's gonna go in with some AoE control, because pushback and slowly buff is still very, very strong into whatever Joselinho is doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, this time around, he does have that silver to his arsenal that he could actually play. On the other side, we do have the Saad being open. If we're looking at bans, who are the bans that you would respect? To be honest, I would be thinking about banning that Angela. She's really annoying.
True, but I wonder what Charge gonna do. Is he gonna ban out the healer or the immunity buffer? Because hey, taking out a Kovaci can also be applied, because if that unit managed to come between both of immunity, that permanent immunity can be very annoying for Charge.
Yeah, absolutely. That's also a very good ban. And we do see the Kovaci being banned over there. On the other side, we do see that Viva Gel. Also that high damage threat. That is actually not a damage dealer. It's just always one of those units. It is there in the draft where you're always like, okay, if it gets the turn at the right moment with the right skills up, it's insta-death for a unit. It's just very hard to deal with. Also, Joselinho, very fast, locking in at Vanessa. Other side Charge, muscle memory locking in. That's Silver and that's Jongnam. And he's definitely been doing that a lot against some of these units. Water Gojo, however, haven't seen too much of him yet in this Summoners War European League.
Oh wow, we have a Water Gojo. He can't lose attack bar, so that can be very good against the Jongnam and the Silver attack bar pushback. And we have a healer, the Wind Angela is going to be on the field as well. And Charge still believing in the Irene to lock down one of the enemy units so that he can control even better.
Yeah, definitely an interesting one to go back to that Irene. Last time around it didn't work, but in the end, she didn't have a good connection on her third skill. If it does get a good connection on the third skill, it might be very different. But once again, Charge is going very much for slight bruiser style of units, but not really like heavily on the CC, not too heavily on the bruise. It's a little bit of a mixture of everything.
I think he wanted to snipe quick and then control whatever's left on the enemy team with a bit of slow debuff. I think the beautiful thing about Silver is that you're not fully locking in the control, but because you have immunity, your team is so much stronger against Bruiser because if they lose their main strip, there's nothing much they can do against Charge.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Also, Joselinho almost locked in just one sustain unit, and that could have been an opening for Charge to be like, okay, I'm gonna ban out your Angela, and then work my way through, for example, with a Rika, or work your way through with anything of like just dot over time damage, and then make it work from there. But actually, took it away, went for that smice, and it's definitely better to have that double sustain draft on that left side. In the end, Charge does actually still go for a Rika kind of style of unit with a Bludger.
And that's going to be a lot of damage on the side of Joselinho. And it's kind of refreshing to see that, whoa, it's a full elemental draft just going in on game mechanic. Pretty much against the Jongnam, we have anti-stun, less attack by pushback. We have a lot of damage, healing, and over there, we only see one LD5. It's probably one of the least LD5 game that we see so far in the league. And it's great because we also see a lot of different new unit that people don't see. There's no Chandra Cigar Villager, there's no Oliver Sakmet, but it's something refreshing instead.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a match 5, set 2. Let's see who can take this second set right over here.
Jongnam going first, but is there enough follow-up from the Blood yet? Because there are 3 will unit, and let's see which one he decides to go for the control. Well, it is going to be the Gojo.
You could also go for skill 2 on the Bloodshed, because that's something people sometimes forget. It's like a recon that's skill 3, but the skill 2 is a strip. Does actually decide to go for that strip right there, plus that strip also does have a slow.
And now every team is going to be slowed down, immunity is going to be up, karma is going to be up, preventing Joselino to actually use his skill. So that is a very, very good turn 1 coming out from Charge. But Sierra decided to be like, you know what? I don't like to be protected.
I don't like that immunity. Like, Charge made this very smart play of actually not taking the double turn, or just simply saying, like, I want that protection up for a longer time. But the Smicer had something to say about that because of that additional turn. However, it isn't over yet, because we have that Bloodshed moving in later with that skill 3, and that is still a very crucial skill, because in the end, there's not too much healing on the side of Joselino, except for that Smice, and that will take a little bit of time to kick in.
I think Sierra's probably going to go down here, even with the healing from this big guy. But that is totally fine because she dropped the Vanessa HP to very low. That's going to allow the Bloodya to finish her off. And the silence from the Bloodya can potentially take away the revive coming out from the Vanessa if the Gojo managed to go down here.
And there is so many debuffs on this Vanessa, you can't even see it. The debuffs of the Vanessa almost cross all the way towards the Fire Monkey. That's how many debuffs this Vanessa has. That one is definitely dead, but you still have to be working on that Fire Monkey. That might be the crucial target. That might be hard to deal with. Then again, you do have that Bloodshed, you do have that Jongnam, and you do have the protection from that Silver. So I think that Charge must be in a good position right now. Unless Smicer has something to say about that with a double silence right there.
Bro, that recreates some nightmare about Smicer from the Smicer meta day with the violent proc controlling the entire team kind of vibe. And I mean, Smicer is pretty much controlling the entire enemy team at this point. From one moment, we thought Charge was going to win, and then no, he isn't winning anymore. He's actually might be losing here to the Smicer and the Monkey because Bloodya is being absolutely shut down by the enemy team.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, the Smicer is still hard to deal with. Like, especially every time it's stripped. The odds of stripping when you have immunity aren't that high. But this Smicer says, like, no, I'm gonna do it every time it's needed.
And the two-turn silence is completely shutting down the brutal power of this the big blue guy here, Jongnam, cannot use all his skill, but maybe with a small proc, not getting the small proc right there, and this Meister might be getting on a turn, but I think Meister is about to go down as well.
Yeah, if you go for skill 2 here on branding, that's definitely the right play to go for that skill 2 rather than the healing. Sure, you might lose your silver in the process, but that is the best way to get rid of this Smicer over there. But now the big question, and that's actually a matchup I haven't seen too much. Fire Monkey against a big blue guy over there. It does have the healing, it does have the branding. Those you want to use at the right moment. But on the other hand, if you get that crit in on that skill 2, an armor break, if it connects, it could still do so much damage.
So we're witnessing the greatest anti-CC unit of the past and the greatest CC unit of the modern day. But the monkey with the crit, locking in the defense break, and I think Jongnam might be going down here. Even though he's water, he's not going to be able to keep up with his fire monkey.
Oh, and that's another crit, taking out that Jongnam for a 2-0 victory for Joselinho. Once again showing passive units work really well.
And Fire Monkey showing that you water, but you can push back attack bar, you can heal. I don't care. Okay, I'm just gonna crit on you and you're gonna die.
Yeah, absolutely. But also that Smicer did so much work. At some point, I was like, okay, this match is over. You're just going to slowly take out the Smicer. You have immunity. The Smicer's not going to strip that. It doesn't happen too often. 1 strip, 2 strips. I was like, wait, what? That is not supposed to happen. That was not how the script was written. But suddenly, the Smicer just completely took over that fight. And that's also the good way. Like, if he actually locked in that gear, what he was thinking of in the first time of showing a unit on that 5th pick, Gio would have never been able to do that well. Smicer did an insane job, so very good last pick of Joselinho on over there.
I think Fire Monkey and Spicer might be the answer to the Jongnam epidemic that's been happening, because you have one unit that even if you stun it, it could still silence 2 of your unit if it proc 1 violent, and that could be very bad. And then you have the Fire Monkey just being Fire Monkey, you know, just like, haha, I don't care about all your stun, and then I'm gonna crit on water. Happens all the time anyway. So maybe that's the answer that I've been missing out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did mention it before. Personally, I like to go Achroma into a Jongnam because of the silence, but Smicer is a very good option for a silence that's a lot more obtainable than an LD5. So definitely might be something that we see a little bit of a comeback of a Smicer because of the Jongnam meta. But then again, has to fight a lot of Olivers. But interesting to see that we have slight different scenarios coming in here, where you see, okay, Jongnam last week, it was insanely strong. This week, it's doing good, but it's not being as oppressive as it was last week. Also, next matchup, we have TeqTeq once again, and this time playing against Malignant.
So maybe that's how the player from the second week is going to teach the player from the first week how to deal with Jongnam from Pinkdroid.
Yeah, absolutely. That might be an option over there. But in this case, we also have Malignant playing that Jongnam. But then it's Jongnam paired with a lot of LD. So can a Smicer actually still do enough against a lot of LDs and the Jongnam? Or is that maybe something else? Let's see what we have going into this match.
Wasn't TeqTeq the one with the secret on Violent? That could be very interesting to see what's going to happen here.
Yeah, that's correct. The only issue is in this case, you're playing against a Gianna, you're playing against a Laura, you're playing against a lot of units that might be difficult. Answer to that, hey gang, we're not going to see on the battlefield right here because it is pre-banned. On the other side, we do have that Gianna being pre-banned as well.
So no more Gianna doesn't mean Malignant doesn't have any other AoE stripper. So I wonder if TeqTeq is going to try to go first turn here, because we know that his Swift unit is actually not on Swift, they're on Violent. So maybe we might be seeing some NemTech coming out from TeqTeq.
Yeah, I definitely would like some NemTech, because if you ban the Gianna, you most likely know that Malignant would go for that Laura. And there's a lot of Nem options that you could go for to counter a Laura. You could go for the Federica. We have seen people go for Robos or even more crazy units. So there's definitely a bunch of options that you could go for. That Athena, could he have a second Athena and that this is actually a Swift Athena? That will be insane.
Maybe, could be, but then Ragdoll into Ethna is very, very good, and the Villager is going to scale really well with the Laura as well, but that will not give Malignant a lot of control on the enemy team, so the Rakuni might be a very good draft here into Malignant, but he's going to go with D-Lima to show you guys that, hey, she's not a B-tier unit. I can show you how a crazy Lima can work, and now Sharion being drafted from TeqTeq as well. A lot of tech.
Yeah, that's definitely a very interesting style. There's not too much healing on the side of TeqTeq, well, also not too much on the side of Malignant yet. But El Shari is definitely an interesting one. And there we have a very strong healer right there, that Yan Hong.
Ooh, but Yeonhong is the kind of unit that will force you to go first, but can Malignant have enough damage to utilize the Yeonhong ability to give you the first turn to snipe though? Because right now all of us gonna go, which means Malignant doesn't have a lot of control, even with the Laura strip, unless the Laura get a beautiful violent proc, which we know will probably happen at some point today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also interesting to see that Malignant goes for a HP lead on the Valajul rather than the 48 resistance lead on the side of a Yeonhong. In most cases, units like an Elsharion and an Athena aren't super high on the accuracy, so a resistance lead might have been very interesting over there.
Maybe he doesn't believe. Like, I mean, that's totally fair too, because I think when you go to G3, even on Ethna and Elshan, they're probably gonna rock like 50 accuracy, and that's gonna be more than enough.
Oh, that was so much damage coming in from the Jeonhong, and the Jeonhong wasn't even speed buffed at that moment. So much damage, and we're already gonna say goodbye to that Athena right there. Couldn't manage to take that turn of hers.
Beautifully done, because I was doubting Malignant turn 1, but he managed to snipe one of the enemy unit, and that's going to be very beneficial because there's now only one stripper left from the Osharian. I wonder that's going to be enough. He did steal a buff, and he's going to steal another one, but then how long can he keep this up, because there's so much buff coming out from Malignant as well.
Yeah, that's a lot of buffs, but he did manage to steal the immunity, so that's definitely a very good buff to have. But also, all of the HP he loses, he's permanently gone. But we have a little bit more steals going on, so this Elsharian is on revenge, so it makes it a danger to actually hit it.
Oh, he managed to actually strip immunity on all important units on the side of Malignant, so he might get a chance to kill something here. If he did land a defense break, he get a violent pro as well, so maybe losing a unit is not that big of a deal when Elsharin's the real carry of the game.
Well, that's also a lot of damage from that violent secret over there. You still have to finish it off and kill it, which maybe you wanted to switch around the target, but you also didn't want to get more healing coming into that Laura. Also, at this position, the Elsharin is not going to have anything to really steal, and the HP is looking very dire on the side of TeqTeq at the moment.
But a good thing about Sharon is that, remember, that is also an Ifrit, and Ifrit are very well known for doing some massive damage with a simple attack buff here. And oh my god, here comes the damage, and there's nothing Malignant can do about it.
That's a lot of damage, but also very good rotation. However, once again, you're at the awkward position where you have to use Elsharion, which could have been an insane amount of damage on the unit that was super low on HP already. But if Elsharion goes for the revenge over here, does he take the revenge? Does not take the revenge. Ragdoll, additional turn. Can we get the revenge in this case? Still no revenge. It would have been an insane revenge over there.
Man, this Vile Secret is not only giving the damage for the teammates, but she herself is doing some solid damage, and the defense break setup allowing the team to do a lot more damage as well. And this Elsharian doing a lot of damage and also being very tanky. He took that Velagio damage head on and still managed to look rather healthy after that.
Absolutely, and that's also where we saw the slight nerf of Ragdoll come into play. Ragdoll before did have a reflect, and that reflect in this case would have actually killed the secret and would have probably killed that Elsharian, or the other way around, would have for sure killed the Elsharian and probably killed that secret as well. But in this case, we have a Valajul playing against a secret and a Chandra, and I don't see a Valajul winning this.
I swear I've seen that secret Violent Pro every turn at this point, which means skill 3 is up all the time, and that's gonna skill 2 as well for the pushback, and Chandra just doing so much damage into the never mind. Goodbye to the Velagio too.
Yep, absolutely. But also the moment that a Velagio is armor broken, it does pretty much no damage. So it had to have a violent turn of its own to actually get anywhere. But then again, into Chandra, it's very difficult, and TeqTeq, well played, knowing how to deal with all of those LDs of Malignant.
Maybe the play was to snipe Secret. He sniped Ethna, which was the easier, obvious target to kill, but that did not reduce the impact of the Secret and the Elsharian, allowing TeqTeq to actually come back from a 3v4 situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, the Elsharian is not really counted by the Ragdoll, whereas the Athena is super hard counted by the Ragdoll. So, actually taking out that Elsharian, that was maybe the key target. But in hindsight, things are always very easy.
All right, now we're going for game number 2. We have the Lima pre-ban, and we have the Oliver pre-ban. I feel like he's not respecting the Vio secret enough, or none of them are respecting the Vio secret. They know it's coming. They're not doing anything about it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's one of those things that you think like, oh, I should be able to handle this. And then you get into the match and then it's like, wait, it's actually doing a lot more. It's also interesting for Malignant to just straight up go Gianna into a Hey Gang. It's definitely one of those plays that if you do have with Yeon Hong, you can get a little bit more away with it. But it is also an interesting thing to just straight up see a Gianna go into the hardest counter, which is that Hey Gang.
Maybe he's locking in either a ultra fast swift robo or a pro max robo, aka the Wunsa, so he can probably ignore the Hey Gang and absolutely smash TeqTeq with a cleave here.
Yeah, definitely an option. So let's see if TeqTeq can find the units to counter that. Still goes for the same units. I am pretty sure it's once again the same Athena, the same secret. So Malignant does know that he is going to be faster. If that Laura is on the field, Laura would move first. I'm not sure if that Gianna would right away follow up if that Hey Gang is still on the field. So that's probably the ban that Malignant is looking at. However, TeqTeq still has that 5th pick where he can do something with.
That is a lot of damage coming out from Malignant right there. I think that's definitely going to be a Hey Gang ban because both Laura and Gianna get hard countered by Hey Gang. So TeqTeq doesn't have any Swift unit at the moment, which means he's very vulnerable to Malignant damage in the first turn. How is he going to survive that?
Yeah, it's definitely difficult to say. Also, he only has 1 speed lead, so there's also okay going for a Nana, but I don't really see Nana working too much in this one because there's a lot of damage on that Han, a lot of damage on that Sierra. So let's see if he can survive with the turn 2 with not that many passives.
So I think Malignant will have a pretty tough job trying to kill all of them at the same time because he can only kill one. Oh, that violent proc happened, but he missed all of the important strip. Yeah. So he might kill a unit, but that's definitely not gonna be dead.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting one. That's why you see the Laura special, the skill 3 additional turn skill 2. But you actually have to strip to make it work, otherwise it does not work. There is the option right here. Ooh, actually went for the risk, expecting it to kill, but did not kill it on that, or at least to try to get the stun, but did not get it. However, there's stuns on the other side. There's almost an AoE stun from the Nana.
Man, he got so bad by the Laura. He could have won the game easily, and then Laura said, "Nah, I'm like Sean B at 3 a.m. right now. I'm done, bro."
Yeah, the Laura just didn't want to do it, and then Malignant was like, "Yep, I don't want to play this one." The Laura didn't connect. The Nana went for an AoE stun. That's the point where it's very hard to come back from. And that is also the drafting style itself. Like, in the end, you have to connect on that Laura. And Laura, it is a triple hit, but it's not the highest of activation rates. It's not a full activation rate, such as a Gianna, for example, which still can be 15% as well. So it's definitely one of those units. If it works out, insanely good, especially with that additional turn. But if it doesn't fully connect, it's actually very interesting to see that the whole draft of Joselinho with that Nana, and then it could have started taking a turn 2, get more Nana stacks. Would have been an interesting one to see how that fights out, but definitely would have been very much in the favor of Joselinho.
I think we also saw a very classic problem of you have a very fast AoE strip, and then you have a follow-up set that they don't really move because the Ethna was moving right after the Han. Even if Han skill 3 and kill the Ethna, it would not move because Ethna was about to move anyway, and there was really nothing that Malignant could do about it. Even with the speed buff, Sierra was not following up after the Laura, and that is just the huge gap of speed in between the stripper and the damage dealer that a lot of people fall into, even for a best rank 6 player.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely very important to have those speed tunings very tight to one another. And that's the difficult thing with a Laura, because Laura has a 120 base. You're going to put an insane Vio set on it so you can raise units while being a Violent against Swift, which you have that much of a base that if you throw like a very good, these people have like 200 sets or even maybe even more, you can actually outspeed units that are on Swift. But then, exactly as you mentioned it, then there's that speed gap. If not all of your units follow up, if your CC doesn't come after, it just doesn't fully connect, and it didn't work out there. However, we do have something for you guys as well. It's not much, but we like to give something. And you know that there's always coming more. It's just another scroll, but there's going to be more of those throughout all of the weeks of SWEL over here. Sean B, what is the most wanted fire unit on your list right now?
Good question. Is there any fire unit I really want? that I don't have. I think one is gonna be the Fire Spectre Princess, just because I don't have it, and the Fire Nezuko, just because I don't have it. I don't think they're very good though, but you know, I don't have it, so
Yep.
really would like to get that one.
There's definitely a few of those units. We just like, in case there's any balance patch coming in, because they're both pretty recent units. At some point, they might be the new Oliver or the new Jongnam or the new any of those units that are super oppressive. But for now, guys, we have 3 more matches coming up right after the break. But first, we're gonna go into the break. So grab a drink, grab a snack, enjoy. we are back for the final 3 matches of Day 2 Summoners War European League. And we've seen a big variety of kind of playstyles. We have seen some LD heavy drafts, we have seen full passive drafts, we have seen a little bit of cleave back and forth as well, but also some bruisers that I would say, if the draw button wasn't there in normal arena, the draw button is there. We were very close on the draw button already. So let's see what we can have once again. And who's the player that stands out the most for you so far, Chombi?
Who was I think the Vio Cigarette was just like he's him, okay? He's going crazy with that. He's winning a lot with that as well. He might be the rank 1 after today if he keep winning like that. And I think people are not respecting the Cigarette enough because they just let it through and then it like absolutely destroyed them. So better pre-ban that, guys. You got one last chance.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see that working all the way. On the other side, something we also see not working as well with the turn 2 comp, which doesn't have that much passes from Merle. So far, it hasn't been giving her that many wins at all. So let's see if she can maybe mix it up by looking at Joselinho, adding in a little bit more passes, maybe a Vert, maybe a Bracuni, or any of those units to give you more protection, because in the end, the Shizuka isn't really working there. But first off, we have 2 Germans facing off against one another in Crispy Bacon against Charge.
All right, it's gonna be a lot of LDs. I like a lot of LDs. You know, shake it up a little bit, make it more exciting. And I wonder if Charge gonna be able to do anything here. He's not looking so hard. He won 1 game today so far. So if he wanna get decent ranking for after the first week, he better be winning 1 or 2 more games here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really want to see that Lydia. I want to know what that Lydia is all about. It was pre-banned once, it was post-banned once. Is it really just a trap against people that were very fast, as is Malignant? Or is it just something that he drafts on ladder a lot and is actually working really well? Because I have seen some other people use Lydia before, and it was every time like, yeah, she didn't do that much. So it's definitely curious to see if Crispy Bacon maybe found like the great recipe to make Lydia work.
I think if there's one thing that a leader could have done, I think could have been drafted against the Vio Secret player. Could have been fun.
Could have definitely been an option over there, but let's see what we have on this match as we're going into the match, into the pre-bans of Charge against Crispy Bacon. What are we saying for pre-bans over here?
I smell a Gianna. Oh, there it is, the Gianna getting pre-ban. We have the Silver getting pre-ban as well. First pick for Charge. Let's see if he is going to steal maybe Zera2, maybe Water Twin Angel. What is going to be the first pick here?
We're going back to that comfortable pick of Jungnam, and I think Crispy Bacon might be listening here to the stream. I think you should be focusing on your gameplay, but that is a Lydia first pick. I really want Charge for content, keep it in the match. Okay, they're actually playing for something on the line over here, so they're probably not going to do it, but I want to see what this Lydia is all about.
All right, I think before this, Charge went with the Vanessa Jongnam, and that was not it. And he's going with the Ethna Oliver this time to try to get the strip, trying to get a control in on that Lydia, because if Lydia gets control, it's pretty much over. But we have a Tomoe getting picked up by Bacon. Maybe we're seeing something very interesting here, say.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those comps that if I would face it on ladder, I would be very confused. It could be either really good or really bad, and in between it feels like nothing is there. Charge definitely has to be looking at those AoE strips to put it up right now. So he did find his Valantis. Could be a strip that doesn't always land the provoke, doesn't always land the despair stun. So not sure if that is the best option out there, but let's see what he picks for that 5th pick in there.
Oh, he got the Marsha, he got the Vanessa, no more strip into provoked right there. He wants to get the damage in, and that is exactly what Lydia is here for. I think it's going to be very fun. It's going to be Lydia doing some massive damage. Zera2 getting last pick right there for some more damage from the side of Crispy Bacon. So Mr. Bacon has a little bit of everything. Meanwhile, Charge has a lot of damage, but if the damage failed to connect, it might be bad for Charge.
But I could see a world where this Lydia is actually banned as well. No, we do actually see the Lydia in, so I'm finally getting what I want. However, there's 2 single target strips on the side of Charge. We're looking at a match 7, set 1 between Charge and Crispy Bacon. Can Charge disconnect this Lydia before she takes an insane turn?
Here we go, guys. Ethna going in with the big strip. You got to worry about Velajo. You got to worry about Tomoe. Oh my god, that damage almost sent the Zero to home immediately. But right now, can he control this Velajo? He could control the Velajo. Say that is not looking so hard for Crispy Bacon.
Yeah, that's definitely not looking so good. And also taking out a unit, but that Lydia's moving. So now we're going to see what this Lydia's all about. But you have to kill a Marsha second life and a Vanessa fully on. I don't really see that happening anytime soon from a Lydia. Is this Lydia a fluke? Is it actually going to do anything over here? Skill 2, a lot of damage. That is a massive amount of damage, but that's not going to be enough to take everyone out.
Is massive, but not massive enough. That's what she said. So we are moving into 2v4 here, and Lydia already popped her big skill, and now she's kind of just standing there doing absolutely nothing. Even if she managed to get a turn, I don't think she's gonna bring back the game for Crispy Bacon because he needs to kill 4 units unless they just kind of die to their own damage. But I think Lydia's gonna die before that.
Yeah, the reflect on the Lydia is not that insane. So sure, we have Oliver leaving the battlefield here. I would try the same thing on that Marsha. Like if you have the Marsha skill 3 on it, this Adna would also die to that. But in the end, you're still 2 units on the field and you take that victory that way. So in the end, it was cool to see that Lydia, but Lydia needed a little bit more of her team to be alive to follow up on her first skill damage. And Charge actually read that very well by being like, okay, I think I can take the damage of that Lydia. I have that Vanessa, I have that Marsha passive. There are enough things to keep it alive. But in the end, the Lydia was insane on damage, but not enough.
I think the switch from the Marsha to from the Volantis to Marsha was the play because the Volantis probably wouldn't stop the Lydia crit and probably die without any second life, but the Marsha was able to survive, kill another target, and survive again with the Vanessa revive. So that was a beautiful switch from Charge right there in the last pick.
Yeah, absolutely. So this time around, we have the Twin Angels going to Crispy Bacon, but Charge does have his favorite units with the Silver and that Jongnam. On the other side, we have Crispy Bacon locking in that Gianna, also a very strong unit, very well paired with that Sierra.
So we might be seeing turn 1 come out from Charge right there, not giving away free turn 1 to the Sierra Gianna duo. So he's locking in the Ethna. He is thinking about a Kinky, but I would suggest to not do that. Maybe a segment, maybe another immunity unit. I don't know, but definitely not going to be a Kinky.
Yeah, I was absolutely thinking the same. The moment I saw the Kinky, I'm like, I don't like this. A Pater, however, is definitely something I do like. It's a very strong unit into a Gianna. As one downside, the moment it is in the bear form, as we could call it, it does lose the passive, which is really strong against stuns and really strong against the Gianna. So let's see if Crispy Bacon can handle that. And he's actually locking in more strippers, so he definitely wants to still go for a turn 1 kind of cycle, whereas Charge is already showing a lot more turn 1 style.
But we also saw that Boy is on a Vio set, so he need another Swift unit to potentially take away the Ethna strip stun in the first turn. And he's going to lock in the segment to try to reset the Ethna, because I think the ban might have to be on either the Pada or the Silver to guarantee the turn 1.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult one. I think you still have to pretty much guaranteed ban the Pater, or you have to reset it. But there's very good odds that your segment doesn't make it into the battlefield. And even if the Gianna makes it into the battlefield, it is still that Ethna in there. Also, we do see a Chow over there, so that's definitely interesting to see a Chow into double bomber at the moment.
I think it's gonna be a silver ban. I think the Chow might have just sold the game to Bacon right there, because right now he's giving Bacon the first turn. But the Ciara ban was beautiful because now Bacon has the first turn, but he doesn't have the damage to finish the enemy off.
Well, I'm not too sure about the Dark Megami if that's going to be enough damage. I kind of doubt it, but in this case, you do have to reset the Ethna, whereas you kind of prefer to reset the Pater, because then the Gianna can actually properly go for the skills. Because right now, you can drop the bomb, but you cannot really go for the stun. Or if you go for the stun right now, you go for the he has to go for the cleanse, because he has to cleanse this, and then you go for a second round of stuns, because that Megami moves right after. But then what? You push back? Is anything gonna happen after that?
Exactly. So Megami can undress the enemy, but then that's it. Like you just sit there and watch one another and not really do anything. And that's exactly what's gonna happen. He gonna strip, he gonna defense break, but who's gonna finish the job?
Yeah, that's definitely the thing. And there's okay, that's going in for a stun. That's also an interesting playstyle. We still have the Ethna being reset, so you could go for that later. It is a tanky unit, but Chow does like something about that as well. Skill 2 is in an awkward position right now. You can't really send it. Like, sure, you can send it, but it's full on wrong element. So that's not going to do that much. And Atna can go for full cycle over here.
And I know like Say is a big Chow hater, but Chow looking pretty solid in this one particular match where there's no, there's not a lot of attack bar reduction, there's no win unit, there's not a lot of debuff. So Chow just looking really crazy in this match.
Well, to be honest, I do want to give it to the 3 other units because I think anything in the position of Chow would have probably won the match. Fire Monkey there would have done totally fine. Just a little bit of me to Chow on that one. But yes, Chow was a good pick.
I think Chow's like the unit that could do really well, just like the Fire Monkey. But if shit go really wrong, Chow can probably solo the game. And Chow just won the game right there.
Yeah, those were 2 very quick victories. So Crispy Bacon trying to get a cleave in, but wasn't taking that first turn properly to the sense where he actually had, like, sure, he had the first turn, he had some strips, he had some pushbacks, but he didn't really have to follow up. And that's really the important part. Like, in the end, you can have all the CC in the world, but if nothing is dying, you ain't winning.
And as I mentioned, Charge need to get that 2-0, and he did. He did get the 2-0, so now he's not too down bad in the ranking just yet because he didn't win in the previous round. So now he's gonna get that 2-0 to keep himself in at least the middle of the ranking, or even maybe at the top if the other 2 players are not going to perform well in the next 2 matches here.
Well, there's still 4 players out there, so someone has to perform well unless they all go 1-1. So someone has to be a winner for someone to be a loser. That's kind of how the game works, right? But let's see how we get that. Or do we get a bunch of draws, which is also... Because also, Merle doesn't have any points on the board as of yet, and she definitely has to be starting racking up a few points as well.
Yeah, it's tough when you play a very specific playstyle that has some pretty proper counter to it as well. So I'm not sure how she's gonna pivot, but she has to, because I feel like everybody in this particular day has figured out the team and how to deal with it. And now the last player who's gonna play her can easily just watch whatever happened in the previous 2 games and be like, that's how they beat her. I'm gonna probably do the same thing as well.
Yeah, and I think she has to play against Malignant, and she's been getting hard countered by AoE CC. And we have seen in the first match of Malignant that it's just very well rounded with the Gianna, with the Laura. It's actually a Laura potential steal because in the end, Merle does like to play that Laura as well, but in this case, it could be stolen. So there's a lot of options for Malignant to actually go for either a cleave or a snipe or CC kind of style of cleave or combination of all 3. So I definitely do think that she would have a difficult match over there. But then again, we also do have the other match, which is Joselinho against TeqTeq, which is definitely going to be interesting to see once again that Secret on Violent. Can it also deal with all of the passes of Joselinho? Because so far, Joselinho, I think, is on a 4-0. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that he won everything so far.
I think the Vio Secret might be the play against the heavy passive team, because I think TeqTeq team is pretty much very heavy on the damage side because he focused on an attack buff. He got a lot of defense break in the Vio Ethna, and also he can also lock in the Elsharian, which can be a soft counter to the Kovaci that Joselinho like to play with. So he got all the good stuff going for him, in my opinion, to counter this heavy passive playstyle that the enemy's trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And the passive playstyle is also interesting to see like how well it works. And we have been talking about it a few times, and that's definitely what you hear other people say as well. How about Oblivion? But then again, what are the good Oblivion units that we have nowadays? Like, sure, Dark Gojo, it's pretty premium. Not everyone has that. Isis, pretty premium. Not everyone has that. But then again, we have a Tessarion. Is it really gonna do the job? Especially if there's like a cleanser next to it, right? It's just not gonna work. And yes, not everyone has a Dark Gojo, Chompy. Not everyone gets those.
Not gonna lie, even when you use Dark Gojo and you Oblivion for 2 turns, all of them, and it's suddenly the Violent proc out of it. It's like, nice Oblivion, brother. Like, I don't care about that.
Yeah, I saw some other streamers also play with it. For example, Glory was playing it, and then you see it's like, oh, I'm gonna Oblivion the whole team right now. You see half of your bar is resistance, and you're like, yeah, this one was supposed to do a lot of stuff, but then in the end didn't do anything. So it's definitely one of those yeah, two-sided units. On one side, like if it lands everything, the enemy doesn't proc out. It is insane. The moment that the enemy gets a few procs in, a few resistance in there, it's just not gonna work that well. So let's see what's the answer to that, because Oblivion does always seem to be like the answer you're looking for, but most of the time is the difficult answer as well. That's why always the Scion has been on a pretty low win rate. So the next match we're actually going to go into is not Malignant against Merle. I was wrong on that. We're going to go in the match of Joselinho, so the passives against Malignant.
I think one of the better way to deal with passive is to actually learn about the passive and how it works instead of relying on Oblivion to shut it down. You shut it down by using the mechanic that is stronger. So let's say you're fighting anti-stun, then you rely on attack by pushback. You're fighting revive, then you rely on cooldown reset. So when you learn about the passive and you know exactly what is the better mechanic to deal with it, then you can fight it instead of relying on Oblivion. I think that's the better way to deal with passive.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with you. In this match, we do have a way to deal with passives. As the Fire Monkey, you just pre-ban it. Like, we're not gonna fight this over here. It's been doing so strong in the last few matches, so he's definitely gonna take that out. We have the Oliver being picked up by Malignant. On the other side, we do have that Vanessa once again.
All right, Vanessa getting picked up here. I have a feeling the wind thing is going to show up. Oh, the wind thing is going to come back. Angela being locked in for Joselinho. So he got the defense break. He got the heal. So let's see what kind of big damage Malignant's going to go in with. And he got two big guns ready to go, being Han and the Doman.
Doman is definitely an interesting one, especially into shields. Sure, it's really good, but every time there is a shield, the Doman, Curse of the Beautiful, or no wait, Curse of Death it is, I think, is not gonna tick as much. And technically it does 100% damage, but if there's shield, it's going to be chipping away from that 100%. So it might be more difficult to actually get that all the way in. However, paired with the Han, super strong. Joselinho, once again, going for his more passive units in that Sahad and that Smicer. On the side, Malignant locking in very fast on that Robo and potentially a Nefties.
I think I got the vibe that he has played these games many times before. Oh, you lucky in passive? Let me shut you down with Robo control, heavy heal block from the Neftis. Never mind, gonna go with another strip from the D Laura instead. Just to be sure, you know, Joselinho probably had the Juno on wheel as well, so having another stripper might be good. But no, we're locking in another speed lead. But he's not looking like he's gonna strip a lot with that.
Yeah, mainly the strips are kind of lacking. On the other side, we don't have too much immunity on the side of Joselinho. Probably a few units are off wheel, so maybe you don't need as much strip. But last time we actually did see the Silver lose to a Smicer, so that might be something we might see again.
All right, so Wind Monkey might be locked in. We are seeing a full LD into a full Wind Draft. So what I learned from watching a lot of high-level stream is that picking LD is great and all, but it's also a bad thing in a way that people can actually lock in this kind of full element draft that usually wouldn't be possible because of the elemental diversity in RTA. But when you're fighting LDs, you can pick 4-win unit and not get punished by the elemental law.
Yeah, absolutely. Also for the bans right here, we could be locking out speed leads. No, we're actually taking out the Wind Monkey and we're taking out the Doomon. So it's all about the damage on the side of Han, and on the other side, there's a lot of sustain with that Sahad damage. We have a match 8, set 1 between Joselinho and Malignant. Chambi, once again, take it away.
So we have the Robo going first, going in with a strip, miss a unit, but still somehow get full bar. And now shutting down the last immunity with the strip dodge, missed the attack bar. So Malignant started turn 1 kind of okay, but he did miss a lot of things. Not looking so good with the Shahad moving in with the dot here.
Yeah, the Sahad definitely is going to be the question. Where are you going to take your first target? It's going to go for the Robo. Han, are you going to take out that Vanessa? It has been shown that it's very tanky, but not for this Han. This Han does an insane amount of damage. Nearly taking it out. Actually, it does split the damage for not taking it out just yet.
So as you can see, the turn 1 damage is shutting down the passive team. Vanessa using the strip, but then probably going to go down pretty much instantly. You can see that the proper damage team took down the Vanessa so fast, despite the Vanessa being very tanky, compared to how Merle trying to take down Vanessa the entire game, but could not take it down. But here we see the Han and the Robo take it down in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, definitely a lot of damage coming in, and this Han is not looking too lively. Also, I think this Han is on a lot of damage, so maybe the targeting on that Robo wasn't really the right way. Like, the main damage threat is going to be that Han. Also, the Smicer against 2 debuffs has a lot more difficulty stripping that. However, you can't target the Smicer, the Smicer strip because it's going to go on the enemy with the highest attack bar at that moment.
And I think we just kind of witnessed how inconsistent this unit can be. One game, Smicer is a god, stripping, silencing, bombing. And one game, it just kind of there and does absolutely nothing.
Yep.
And this is one of those games.
Yep, absolutely. And that gives the victory to Malignant. And that's definitely where you see some of those units being very double-sided, where a lot of people would say, like, maybe I don't want to draft as much Smicer. But then again, Joselinho so far had a very good streak of a lot of wins. So let's see if he can take it back in that set too.
So I think that last switch from the Nephthys to the silver was absolutely perfect, because if he locked in the Nephthys, he could have missed the strip, he could have let the Smicer go crazy. But then with the silver, he had a bit of control, less damage output overall, but so much safer with the immunity on his side.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was also cool to see this Han just doing so much damage. Where we saw before, it's like, oh, this Vanessa looks unkillable. Not for this Han. This Han just went straight through it.
So now with Vanessa and Silva out of the field, Joselinho with the first pick. Without Vanessa, he's probably going to lock in the Kovaci playstyle with the Chandra. So let's see how Malignant's going to deal with that.
Yeah, let's see. The Vanessa is pre-banned right now. What is your first pick that you're looking at right now? Because Joselino so far, I think, has been first picking Vanessa all the time. Does he right away go for a passive unit? Or does he go for another speed lead still that is maybe somewhat helping the passive units such as a Chandra? Or do you right away go for something like an Angela? Could be a lot of options. He's definitely taking his time, but he does find that Chandra. It's still one of the best speed leads to help support units do very well.
But then Chandra's 24, Oliver's 33. Malignant going with a Gianna is going to go first and absolutely dominate Joselino once again. I think he has to lock in the Hey Gang here. And that is probably one of the only play he has against the Gianna, because I don't think he has a pattern. Oh,
interesting style on that Gapso. Gapso is mostly good if your enemy also has a lot of form of healing, because Gapso takes attack bar the moment that the enemy is healing. But so far on the side of Malignant, there's nothing healing. And besides the Yeon Hong that he likes to draft, there's not too much healing on the side of Malignant as we have seen all day so far.
So I think it's a free turn one for Malignant, because he can go for Robo Gianna, ban out the whatever Hey Gang that he's gonna last pick over there, and absolutely shut down Joselino unit one by one easily with the Han damage.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see. Also, that Dumon, I think, is a little bit too much of like, oh, I'm gonna fight your bruiser units in a bruiser style. But I think you could have more double down on, as you mentioned, a Dark Robo or another strip unit to just really lock down. It's like, okay, even that Light Pony, if you connect your skills, match is pretty much insta over.
But Light Pony is a very good unit against Han, because Han need to crit all 4 hit to be going absolutely crazy. And I think Light Pony is definitely going to be the ban here. Malignant just have to lock in another AoE Dark Strip, and Dark Robo is going to be on the menu. And this might be the easiest game for Malignant, or he can miss all his strip and, you know, quit instantly like the last game.
Yeah, that is definitely an option, but I definitely do think we're looking at a ban on that Light Pony. On the other side, you probably have to respect one of the 2 strippers and hope that the other one doesn't really perform.
Or maybe you ban the Han and pray that you outlive all that tiny damage from the other unit.
Is an option, but I think there's too much additional damage artifacts on the Robo and the Gianna that it would still do a lot of stuff, and you would still have to resist the Curse of the Death. We have a match 8 set 2 between Joselino and Malignant. Let's see if the turn 1 works well this time.
All right, Doman going in with the curse on the monkey straight up. Bomb maybe land on the monkey as well, just to make sure the monkey is going to go and say goodbye. Smicer surviving the strip. Gapsu surviving the pushback. Oh, Malignant is in some trouble here.
Yeah, might be in trouble. So let's see if we see a God tier kind of style play from the Smicer again. Also, the Gapsu tried to heal the monkey, but in both cases did not work because of the Curse of Death. Also, once again, the silence is not connecting, so you have to drop the bomb on that as well.
All right, bomb on the Han. Han's probably going to go down to one more damage hit from pretty much anybody. So it's gonna be Doman, Oliver trying to control the enemy team, waiting for the Doman skill 3 to come back, which might work, but the Smicer can go crazy here because all 3 of Malignant unit are extremely weak against the 2-tone silence.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, this Oliver just missed his reset, so that does mean that he will have a gap in the amount of skills that he can use in a moment. There is a suppress on the Chandra right now, so using skills would cost you half of your HP, plus it will give cooldown, so definitely not the thing that you want to use. But this is the gap of the Oliver I was talking about. That moment where you can't use your skill 3 because you got resisted earlier is always really crucial for Oliver to have like a dead turn, and it's just not working out. It's Oliver, you want to be in the cycle, you want to be hitting skill 3 after skill 3 and skill 2s, but now this silence is there, and it's definitely gonna do any skills for a while.
Oh my god, look at how tanky that Doman is. Gapsu barely scratched her HP bar, and this Chandra has no skill to offer, and the Smicer is not exactly keeping the control really well, and without shield, that Doman's absolutely gonna hurt the Smicer if she land her curse.
Yeah, it's all on this Curse of Death. Curse of Death does connect. Also, the Chandra tried to stun it, but it was actually resisted at that moment. Also, the Smicer right now can still land a bomb. All of the damage that is dealt to the enemy side will never come back because there's no sustain of the side of Malignant. But then again, the Curse of Death is just ticking, and it's ticking very hard. Also, the heal will go on the lowest HP target, which is itself at the moment, and therefore it's not going to heal anything.
Oh, not looking good. And the bomb of Smicer usually doesn't do crazy damage as well. So maybe Doman might even survive this one. And Oliver is finally in the cycle that you mentioned before, keeping everyone on cooldown, especially the Chandra with a slow debuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But still, it has to work through that one-turn silence. But I definitely do think it has the chance to do so. The Gianna will soon get online, has the bomb up. Sure, we're going to say goodbye to this Doomon, but this Doomon is still holding on for a little bit of life in there.
And that holding on dear life is very important because you have to waste one of the big skill, the Gapsu skill 2 on the Doman if you want to really finish the unit, because the skill 1 is not going to do it.
Yeah, skill 1 is just simply not going to do it. You have to take the additional turn, but actually the healing was still favorable for Malignant where the cleanse didn't land on that bomb. So since the bomb is still there, I definitely do think that Malignant still has a favorable matchup here.
I don't think so, man. Oliver is going absolutely crazy. Oh, but wait. Never mind. The bomb is absolutely more than enough to take down the Chandra. And I don't think Gapsu alone is going to be enough to deal with 2 of the most crazy unit in RTA. And that is GG.
Yeah, absolutely well played by Malignant right there. And that's where you can see the difference between if you skills connect, it's just such a world of difference. The Doomon did what she had to do. She was tanky. She was hard to kill. Curse of Death just landed twice, taking out the units cleanly, playing well against those bruiser units, and in the end worked out very well for 2-0 over there.
And we're going into the very final game of today to see if Merle is going to get at least 1 point today, or is she gonna go home empty-handed in the very first debut in the Summoners or European League.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think she has to play into that Athena and the Secret to actually get her Feng Yang rolling? Because in the end, the Feng Yang is her key unit. It does do a lot of damage. I think it's very well ruined. The moment it gets the turns in, it does very good. But how can you give the turns to that Feng Yang?
I think it's gonna be extremely hard. He might need to, she might need to run a Raccoon here, or maybe something to deal with the Ethna, at least a Verge somewhere to maybe get a turn in between to get some attack bar, because that Fangyan took all the defense break head on, which means there's 0 resistance in that bear. So 1 defense break into an Ethna skill 3, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be bad. So definitely has to be looking at where can we get the cleanses in. And actually where we had last week a lot of 1-1s, this week around we have a lot of 2-0s, which is very interesting to see.
And we pretty much we have like 5-2-0 in a row, and the only one match to hold against TeqTeq was Charge. It's tough, man. When they know what you're doing and they got a strong draft, it is impossible to break that.
Yeah, let's see what they bring in the matchup of TeqTeq against Merle. Once again, for TeqTeq, I think he can still keep doing what he's doing because it's been working. So don't switch a winning team, right?
Hey, you never know what's going to happen. It's RTA. Bad things can happen. Laura can miss all strip.
Well, then again, in this case, the Laura's on the enemy side of TeqTeq, so that's still a fine thing for him to happen. But I totally understand what you mean. Things could flip with a simple switch of being like, hey, this should all work. And then you go into the match and it's like, the skills aren't connecting. I'm not getting my resets that I want on, for example, the Shizuka that Merle so much likes to play. And then things might go very bad from there. Pre-bans, what are we saying?
All right, we might be seeing a Laura and a secret pre-ban. It's gonna be a Laura and an Ethna pre-ban. Finally respecting that best Vio efficient set on the Ethna. And maybe, hopefully, that's gonna break the TeqTeq combo.
Yeah, let's see what he can do from here. First pick around, still a lot of options. Actually, still opting for a first pick. Hey gang, interesting one right there.
Maybe because we know that the Juno is coming. So if Juno go first, then Hagen's gonna have something to say about that. Or he just wanted to have a stripper. He wanted a peace of mind to pick the Lima that he really likes. And Hagen, you know, as a Lima owner, is one big counter to the Lima.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, Juno is a really big counter into the Lima as well. And the only one that kind of saves that is that Hey Gang. So once again, we see very comfortable drafts from Merle in this scenario. I think she's looking a little bit more comfortable in her draft than in her previous matches because of that Viva Chow at this moment. Then again, TeqTeq still has 2 units. Would you go from snipes here? That is definitely an interesting snipe that we don't see too much. You pre-ban my wind version, I'll just pick the fire version.
I am not sure about Raki though, because Raki doesn't actually counter the Shizuka revive thing. Is not really a revive, so I'm not sure about Raki being drafted right there. TeqTeq is definitely going to go for some sort of damage. He got either the attack buff or the AoE defense pick set up, so I'm not sure if that's going to be enough damage, but hey, I'm excited to see Raki. We mentioned anti-revive early in the conversation, and funny how the anti-revive getting picked up where there's no real revive.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely an interesting one. Plus, it was drafted into double water, which is double wrong element. Plus, into a Juno, you don't really want to be armor breaking the Juno either. So it's definitely a really interesting pickup right there. But TeqTeq has been showing a few interesting comps so far. So is that something that Merle might be thinking of, like, oh, that's actually scary. I don't know what it is. I just want to ban it. Same as we saw with the Lydia before. And it is actually being banned out.
Maybe TeqTeq is just a Hell Lady fan. Like he just built like that. He just liked Hell Lady so much that if you ban the wind one, I'll pick the fire one. I will find a way to get my AoE death break in.
Yep, absolutely. We have a match 9 set 1. We have Vivachel taking an awkward first turn. That is always the point. We've seen it before with Charge. If Vivachel takes the first turn, what can you really do? You go for healing, you go for skill 1, but none of them have that much value if I have a Hageng moving right after.
And now we have another awkward Lima turn where she can buff and then get stripped. And then she's going to buff anyway. So that's going to be a small bit of damage coming from the Kinky. But if you can defense break somebody, it might be a one-shot.
Yeah, let's see where that's... that defense break was on the Juno, which is actually the most unfortunate target to defense break. Because that's the only thing that will have pretty good healing on itself. Plus, you have the Praha healing coming right after. So I think that this rotation might still... Ooh, that counter though. But is it enough? It's not really enough.
But it can allow the Lima to stun. I mean, not stun slow, but did not go for that. Gonna go for the skill 1. He's trying to get rid of this Juno as quickly as possible, but Praha will have something to say about that. So it's like a stalemate at this point because nobody's really doing any real work on the enemy team yet.
Yeah, there's not too much damage, but a lot of skills have been sent, so Daydream is not going to be there anytime soon. The damage? Ooh, is that a good rotation? No, that's also not really the timing that you do want to do it. Does actually send it, so Feng Yang could actually take out the Kinky. That is definitely one of those units. You see that a lot in Siege or in Arena. Feng Yang is one of those units to take out the Kinky, so let's see if it sends it over there. Does send it, did get a very late armor break, did get the additional turn, and that will definitely take out the Kinky right there.
Wow. That's a lot of damage from the Panda. Maybe that's going to be the win for the Panda. First win in the day, but the game is not over yet because we know that the Secret is on Violent and the Secret herself is a damage dealer. So the game is not over yet.
The game is not
never mind.
over
It might
yet,
be over.
But there's a lot of damage on these skill 1s. I always like to say skill 1 damage, but Merle actually has a lot of skill 1 damage. These Prahas and Juno skill 1s have been rocking a lot of damage in there as well. Feng Yang skill 1, I definitely do think that, yeah, this is the victory for Merle. Well played.
The first win today for Merle. going in with there's a lot of Oracle on the field, and somehow the LD Oracle was not the one to win.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lima is definitely one of those units. It feels a little bit an awkward spot. And that's also the thing, like the moment that the Oracles were nerfed on the skill 1, the other 2 Oracles, the Juno and the Praha, were buffed to actually counter her even more. So sure, you still had the Heigang in the field, but in the end, the Kinky was kind of in an awkward position as well, because the Feng Ying was so well off taking it out.
I feel like instead of Lima, it could have been like, I don't know, a Gemini, and Kinky could probably go like kill everybody.
Yeah, it could have been a lot of options over there of the instead of a Lima, because in the end it just didn't really work out. But it was drafted relatively early, and it's definitely on the playstyle that TeqTeq likes to play. So let's see once again. Does go for the Heigang. However, last time around didn't work that well, but this time we do have an Athena.
And we finally see a pre-ban on the Secret showing some respect to the Vile Secret.
Yep, absolutely. Also, once again, Vivachel did take kind of an awkward position spot in the last time, but it could be very well if it's paired against that Athena, that Athena would outspeed that Vivachel, and then Vivachel can take a very good turn after that.
Merle thinking about the Laura getting locked in, but no, it's going to go for the Shizuka, which could potentially utilize the love of the Lima from TeqTeq for some free invincibility.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential for invisibility, and in this case, we're like, okay, it's not banned out, I'm just gonna go for 2 Hell Ladies. I am not sure what this Hell Lady is doing over here. Potentially could even go for a double water draft to finish it off, but wouldn't be surprised if we're still going back to the Feng Yang units, because if those are your countable units that you like to play with, that are actually working for you, I could see her still going in for that, but let's see what she does.
I think he just like to go skill 2. Oh my god, are we seeing a real Water Lich draft here to get some attack bar in between the Hell Ladies AoE? That is wild.
That is a really interesting one, because the Water Lich, it does feel good, but the base stats are really bad, to the sense where additional damage artifacts most of the time tend to kill it. So it is actually in the match, and we have the Rocky in the match. So we have a match 9 set 2, and we have 2 new debutant units with the Rocky and that Wriggle. I think Wriggle? What is it named? I'm not 100% sure. The Water Lich.
And we have a Gani hitting last pick, probably to counter the Shizuka getting banned as well. This is a very weird draft from both sides going into the final match of today. It feels like a Goodwill match, but hey, whatever they're doing, I really want to see what happens.
Oh, in this case, would you not go for the strip? Because with the strip, you would make the enemy move, and then you could go for a Switch of Destiny that looks a little bit better than just going for a healing right now. Could be something. Also, 2 violent turns are already wasted, and your enemy is on 27% on violence, so let's see how this goes.
So that's going to be a lot of damage coming out from the Ethna into the Lima, and if it could stun the Shizuka, that's going to be very, very good.
Yeah, let's see. Also, the Rocky is moving right after. Athena will gain 120% attack bar, but it's not enough to kill or to actually cut in on that Shizuka. We do know the Shizuka moves next, so this gets a little bit awkward right now, because the Shizuka is going to be, oh, we have invisibility on the menu. I like a little bit of that.
Oh my god, do you not? I mean, we totally forgot about the anti-crit passive that actually stole a bit of attack bar that Ethna could have gotten, so that Shizuka could get a turn right there.
Yep, but still in the end did manage to take out 1 unit and actually picked up Endure in the process over there for that Rocky. Still not sure if she's the right unit for the right moment, but it's definitely an interesting pick right there.
And also, I saw the Rockies resisting a lot of the enemy stuff. I have a feeling that this Rocky is actually 100 res.
Could that be 100 res tech Rocky? But then again, looking at the damage, her damage is kind of okay, so it's a strange build. It's definitely a strange build. Definitely an interesting one to see over here. Let's see if we can get some freezes out of this one. Raiju, you have to do a lot of work here to get this match back. Did actually connect the slow, but that's not going to be enough.
Yeah, I think Raigo is like a draft where you think, oh, he's going to cut in between and freeze and defense break. But in reality, he's not moving enough, and he's not doing enough.
Yep, we have a very good rotation on the Switch of Destiny. However, the big issue is your team is already looking at armor breaks. We don't actually have a counter, and it's been taken out by a counter. Okay.
Wow, we were talking some mad bad stuff about that Rygo, and it actually finished off the Ethna, surprisingly.
Well, then again, it finished off the Athena, but how much more can it do from here? Is it on Vampire? That's also the big question. It is not on Vampire. If it was on Vampire, maybe it could have had like a lot of attack bar in and it could work somewhere. But then again, it's armor broken right now. So how much damage can you do? It's not going to be that much damage. And not on Vampire, it's definitely not going to work.
Exactly, especially with a Lima that can provide a decent amount of healing over time. I don't think this Water Lich gonna be able to solo the enemy team, and that's GG. TeqTeq's gonna take the last game.
Yeah, absolutely interesting play. Both on that Rocky, I'm still not really sure what the Rocky was there for. Like, it's one of those games. It's like, yeah, she did good, but what was really the idea behind it? What was she specific drafted for to counter? And maybe we're gonna see that in next week. So I definitely do like the idea of seeing like new units. Did see the Brygle in there. Didn't really work out. Too much immunity, too much. The moment that you remove immunity, it's gonna be cleansed anyway. So did not really work out. But then again, if you don't try, you never know.
True, and I also want to see like two guys just go in with 5 LD5 draft at some point, you know, like for just one game. Okay, satisfying my LD needs. Just go 10 LD5 in one match, and I'll be very happy.
There's definitely a few players out there that can make that work. We have some players with over 20 LDs here in the league. So, but then the big question is, you could have 20 or even 30 LDs, but do they pair very well? Because in the end, most of the LDs still need a speed lead. And then you're still looking at a Ciara or an Oliver or any of those kind of units. So it's hard to lock in all 5. But then again, I do think we have some players that can make it work. So we're going to look at the bracket of today, see how the points are distributed between the players that we had so far. Actually, we ended up all the way with a 1-1. So the only player that took 1-1s is TeqTeq, which is interesting to see. But actually, that way, rocking all the way up to 4 points. So I think he's going to be very high up in the leaderboards with those 4 points.
Interesting. I think everyone who won 2-0 also lost 2-0.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone that had like a good win at that point also did have a lose. Also, of course, we have the players from last week on this leaderboard. So we have actually 5 players with 4 points, which is very interesting to see. So it is very hard to distribute the points. Of course, we're still just in the second week. We have a lot more weeks to go, a lot more matches to go. But it's interesting to see how close it is for the first 5 players. No one is actually taking all the way 6 points, which is the maximum potential of all of the points. But also, no one is taking 0 points. So we do see that the level is pretty equal in that.
I see, but I think the 4 points player from day one were having some draws in there, but the 4 point player from today were having some solid wins.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And that's also why you see the 4 point players of the first week. They didn't have any losses. So it is very interesting to see like the different style between week 1 and week 2, whereas week 1 had a lot of draws and week 2 was actually a lot of 2-0s, but also people that won 2-0 before also fully lost after. So it's definitely kind of a different style in there of one draft not working out, but then you can make the other draft work versus just 2 drafts completely not working out. And that's kind of interesting to see in a best of 2, I would say.
And I think that is going to conclude for us today. We're going to be looking forward to next week as well. I think next week it will be the people from the first week who will play again, which you're going to be seeing.
It's going to be the mix of the both. So some players of this week against some players of last week. So it's going to be a mix over there. But before we wrap it up, we still have something lovely for you guys. We were talking about that fire scroll earlier. Hope you got your Bludja or your Theodora or something else. Plus, not just scrolls, a little bit of energy as well. You can do some farming. You can actually farm artifacts with that because we've seen it from Merle. Those artifacts, they rock in the damage. Absolutely.
All right, to Fire Score and her energy for you guys to be spending that in your next Giants run. And thank you so much for watching the stream today. I had a lovely time casting, I would say, even though I just heard like my local church like just ringing the bell telling me that the sun is coming up. It's pretty crazy out here, but it has been very fun. The great matches keep me awake, and especially with Say voice in my ear as well. That was very, very wonderful.
Yeah, that always helps you from keeping awake. Like, it's the same thing. Like, if someone is driving for me, they're just like, keep on talking because next to you, I can never sleep. So that is something with a loud voice. But guys, also for you guys, thanks a lot for watching once again. Next week, we're going to be back Jean B, you're also back, right? You're here for at least one more week, so it's good to see you. At least I'm not 100% sure. Jean B's already enjoying the hours. He's feeling what Stoic is feeling when he has to do the Legend tournament. We all know about that feeling, the 3 a.m. vibes. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. Hope to see you in the next week. You do know where to find it, !SWEL, to check any content on SWEL, guys.